player. But with Luis Arraez healthy, they're 18-6. He's played in 24 games this year. They're 18-6. In the 6 games he's missed, they're 1-5. And now we hope they get Jackson Merrill back at some point in the next few days as well. But I don't think that you can't summarize the whole season like that. Baseball doesn't work like that. Obviously, you can't be like, man, Tyler Wade, maybe when he plays, they're 5-0. Who the hell knows? That doesn't mean Tyler Wade's the difference for their team. But that to me is encouraging, Jim, because it just tells me that when they're healthier, they're better and they're getting healthier. And they've been really good at full strength this year. And hopefully they're approaching full strength at some point during this road trip.
The thing with this club this year, it's going to be a tale of can they stay healthy? And when they're healthy, they're really good. When they're not healthy, it's going to be an uphill battle. But even when they were dealing with those injuries, and it was an awful 11-game stretch, if you look at it from like a 30,000-foot view, they were 500. They were 9-9 in that stretch without Jackson Merrill for the whole time there, without Jake Cronenworth, and then missing Luis Arraez for those 5 games. They ended up being 9-9. Now, with their fantastic start to the season, you can deal with that. You can overcome those things. And so I feel like going forward, the most important thing with this club, and it's with every single team in sports, but especially with the Padres this year, because it feels like they really have an opportunity to do something special if they just stay healthy. Like when they are fully healthy, it looks like they are a team that could do some damage, do something special, and a team that has shown early on that they can be one of the best teams in baseball.
Yeah, I truly believe to that point. I'm glad you said that. Like, yeah, I know it's only the 1st of May, but they've played 30 games. It's a decent enough sample size, and there's still 130 plus games in front of them. But I don't see a ton of weakness when healthy, to your point. Now, could they upgrade in areas? Yes.
There's some weaknesses, but it's not like,
they're not glaring.
Yeah.
Because you've said this before, top 4 for top 4 around baseball, they're right there with most teams, right? When you talk about Arraez and Machado and Tatis and Merrill, not in that order, that's right there with most teams. And then their starting pitching, especially if Yu Darvish comes back and looks like Yu Darvish, is right there with most teams. Their bullpen is right there with most teams. Like you just say that. Now, when you get to the nitty gritty, and this is where AJ Preller can be really good, and you got to give him some time on this. But if they have to upgrade a catcher, maybe he will. If they have to upgrade in left field, maybe he will. I don't think he's going to do it tomorrow. I think they'll be okay between now and not necessarily the end of July, but I think they're okay in the short term if they just get healthy. And I don't know if they're the best team, to your point, but I think when healthy, it's not glaring the weaknesses that they're facing moving forward. There are weaknesses, but they're not glaring to me. And I think they can win at a good clip when healthy.
When healthy, for sure. You know what? I view as a positive out of all these injuries is, and you're going to be surprised by hearing this, it's the play of Tyler Wade. Now, I don't want to
said it yesterday with AC.
I don't want to devote an entire segment to him.
Do it.
But, when you have these injuries, and inevitably every year there will be some, guys are going to have to step up. And that's when you find out who is able to do that and who is not able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yuli Gurriel, not able to do that.
Not able to do it.
DFA'd, cut, you're out of here. All right. Brandon Lockridge, he got injured, is whatever. Okay. Mason McCoy's just here for whatever. But what Tyler Wade has done in the time that Jackson Merrill's been out and Tyler Wade has returned to this team, we talked about with Kevin yesterday. He's done exactly what they have needed and asked him to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, once you get Jackson Merrill back, you feel confident with Tyler Wade on your bench now with how he's performed. He's going to stay ready. He has stayed ready. And when his number's gotten called, he's done everything that's asked of him, and he's not tried to be something that he's not. And you actually don't feel like he's just this black hole in this lineup like you did last year with him, because now he's putting together really good at-bats. He's playing good defense in center field, and we know he can play multiple positions on this team. So with all the injuries that they've had, Tyler Wade has definitely stepped up. He's been a bright spot early this season. And once you get Jackson Merrill back, hey, look, you have a piece on your bench that you feel confident with, and he has shown you early on this season that you can call his number and he can, get the job done.
I think he's got a very good chance to stick and be here for most of the year. I think Kevin made a point yesterday that I probably wish I would have made over the last week when they were struggling, which is it's not just Arise and Merrill not being in the lineup and what they mean for the lineup. It's what they mean for the psyche of a team when you put them back on an active roster. Because he made the point yesterday, it's like they got a shot in the arm when Arise was activated.
Right.
Because, hey, guys, I'm back. Remember that sound we played the other day? It's just a constant. As good of a major league hitter for average as there's been in the sport this decade, back with them. It's just that boost that they needed, and they've played well as a team. Again, it's not solely because of Arise, but there's something in sports where you get a key piece back and you play better as a result of that. I feel like the same thing is going to happen with Jackson Merrill. Merrill, whatever the cliche is, gamer, winner, hungry, you put him back on the active roster and you're pointing this team again in the same direction. And I feel like that happened with Arise. I hope it happens with Merrill. I just feel like Jackson Merrill means so much, whether he hits 3 home runs in 10 games or not. I just feel like he's such a big loss. And who cares if he's not as good as Manny Machado? He's probably not, or he's not as good as Fernando Tatis Jr. He probably won't finish top 2 in MVP voting this year. I just think it means a lot for the team to get these critical pieces back.
And we'll see what they do this weekend against the Pirates.
Yep.
I said 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was a week ago, I forget.
Mm-hmm.
The name of the game right now is weathering the storm. They kind of have stabilize things here with their 2-game sweep against the Giants. They have a good series against the Pirates here. Win that series, then they will officially, in my opinion, weathered the storm. It started out very rocky. Like the start of the trip of weathering the storm, man, thought that plane was going to crash and it was going to be bad. But they ended up playing some fantastic baseball the last 2 days. Get into this series healthier, playing better. You're not going to face Paul Skeens, even though, Darnay Tripp wishes that Padres face Paul Skeens all 3 straight days.
And lost all 3 because it's so cool to see Skeens.
So cool to see Paul Skeens pitch. So take advantage of that. Pirates are awful.
They're terrible.
Go win a series in Pittsburgh, get Jackson Merrill back on Monday, and the storm will officially have been weathered.
It's funny you say that because it depends on where you want to use your start point for weathering. Because you're right. If your start point is Arise, they were like 1-5 over the 6 games, or even if you go back a couple of games, 3-8. But if my start point is Merrill going out,
then they absolutely have weathered.
They're 11-9 now.
Yeah, I know.
So they have weathered. If you want to take it more like granular to Arise, you're right. Since Arise went out and I was back, I think they're 3-5 in those 8 games. So they haven't played great. I'm willing to say they've weathered it. You're right. Nobody wants to see them lose the series to the Pirates. I think the Pirates lost today. They did. They're 12-20 and 3-3 when Paul Skeens starts, which means when he doesn't start, they're 9-17 this year, and they're not going to face Skeens. They're losing 67% of the time.
Paul Skeens sucks
when Skeens doesn't play. Now the Cubs offense has been terrific.
They've been really good,
and Skeens actually didn't pitch terribly here today.
Nice.
But you're over Paul Skeens.
4 walks, 2 strikeouts, giving up 3 home runs.
Okay, it's not good.
In 5 innings pitched.
Cubs are good. Can we say that? Cubs offense is good.
We've seen the Cubs multiple times this year already.
And we'll talk to Rich Waltz on this series coming up on at 3:30 as the series gets underway tomorrow night. By the way, a horrific situation yesterday in Pittsburgh with the fan falling from the stands. Just a horrific situation.
Yeah, moral of that story, my guy, is don't reach over the pole boundary area.
I mean,
the railing. Don't reach over the railing. All right?
You know me. I don't watch any of that. You know the injuries in sports where like, oh, his bone broke through his skin, like all these.
I go to the extreme there,
but this was extreme yesterday. I don't think
I saw.
I don't know if this person is what the outcome is.
He's in stable condition, but he had to be obviously taken off the field and put in a stretcher and taken to the hospital, obviously.
So a terrible situation.
20-foot fall is no
joke. Absolutely. But I'm one of those. I never watched that. Did you watch the fall?
I've watched.
You watch everything.
I'm okay with gore.
Yeah.
I'm okay with bones breaking and.
I've never watched any of that. Joe Theismann's injury. I've never seen those bone breaks.
Alex Smith's injury.
Never
I've watched
seen
multiple times.
Never seen it.
I don't watch it because I'm like, ooh, I like this.
But you kind of want to know.
But I kind of want to know. And it doesn't bother me. It doesn't make my stomach like turn over itself.
Oh, it does for me.
I know it does. Anytime that I'm in studio.
Yeah, you're like, look at this, dude. I'm like, no. You always do that to me.
I do. But sometimes the stuff I'm trying to show you, it's not even that bad.
You're like, look at these 1 million men fighting 1,000 gorillas. Look at all these dead people and gorillas.
We have to.
We need a gorilla expert.
We need to continue this conversation later in today's show because it might have gotten out of hand.
It is a Padres off day, so we might spend 3 hours on that.
Yes.
But on the other side, the Lakers out, which is somewhat surprising considering what we're saying about the Lakers at the trade deadline. The Lakers out in 5. We'll discuss what it means for the Mavs and Luka and LeBron and the Lakers ownership group and front office on the other side. Plus, still ahead, Rich Waltz calling this game tomorrow night between the Padres and the Pirates. This is John and Jim. All right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Rich Waltz, Apple TV. He's calling Padres Pirates on Friday night. That's where you can watch the game on Apple TV. He'll join us coming up at 3:30. A kind of an interesting finish to the Lakers season as they lose as a favorite in the first round to the T-Wolves in 5 games. They lose 2 of the 3 games at home. They lose both of the games in Minneapolis. And this is the first time in franchise history as a 1, 2, or 3 seed, they're out in the first round. The Lakers, in the history of the franchise, had never lost in the first round as a 1, 2, or 3 seed. What do we make of this? Again, it's not to say Nico Harrison was right. It's not to say Luka he can't win, or LeBron, you're washed. Maybe he is. He's 40. He just finished his 22nd season. But what do we make of the way this played out between the T-Wolves and the Lakers over the last 2 weeks?
My favorite part of last night wasn't anything to do with the game. Not one part of the game that I find more entertaining than Anthony Edwards post game, just walking around
the streets of LA,
just going Lakers in 5.
Yeah,
like it was so funny. Anthony Edwards, to me, by the way, everyone's like, who's the next thing? Who's the next? It's Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, his personality, his play on the court. He has now. I think the Timberwolves are set up perfectly to make a trip to the Western Conference Finals again.
Mm-hmm.
If he does that, and if he can get over that hump, it'd be really hard. But like, if he makes an NBA Finals, like he to me is the next guy in line.
Let me ask you this, because I agree with you. I think he's a phenomenal player, and I think he's got that personality too. I mean, he's phenomenal. And I know KG played in Minnesota. But is it harder when you're in Minnesota? Is it harder when you're in Memphis? Is it harder when you're in Oklahoma City? I know LeBron was in Cleveland, but he also bounced around. He's finished up here in LA. And LeBron's truly one of one. It's hard to compare Anthony Edwards at this point to LeBron James at any point. But like, my point is, if he played for the Golden State Warriors or the Boston Celtics, maybe even like the Philadelphia 76ers, there's 6-8 teams in there. Is it harder when you play in Minneapolis to nationally resonate the way some of the Stephs and the LeBrons and the Jason Tatums even resonate?
Well, I mean, yes, but I also think if you got Anthony Edwards on Team USA basketball, you got Anthony Edwards, winning in the postseason. He has put together some phenomenal games for the Timberwolves already.
Agree with you. I agree.
I think it takes a bit of time, especially if you're in Minnesota or that. But Kevin Durant and OKC did it. Russell Westbrook, OKC did it.
That team was special. You're right.
I think SGA is trying to do it, but I just think that for whatever reason, it just hasn't. I don't think it hasn't clicked yet. I don't know why.
If they win it all, who would you? Okay, in terms of that next phase, or even like 2026 and beyond, how much of it is based on if it was in Oklahoma City, Minnesota, Western Conference Finals? Let's say SGA won it. Let's say they won the NBA Finals, or is that could be the difference? Like, would you say Ant is a bigger face than Shai Gilgeous if SGA wins the NBA Finals this year? I wonder what that would mean for them if they truly won it all. I mean, are they the favorite right now to win the NBA Finals in Vegas, Oklahoma City?
Them and the Cavs.
Them and the Cavs. So, yeah. I mean, it's possible.
It is possible. But anyway, back to this series. You could see around game 2, even game 1, like late game 1, you're like, this is going to be a problem for the Lakers. And then once you get to game 4, that's when it all just fell apart.
Running out of gas.
Not only running out of gas, JJ Redick showing his inexperience by not making any substitutions in the second half at all.
Right.
And then really yesterday pregame, when he stormed out of the press room beforehand because of a question, that game was over. Like the series was over. It was done. They were not winning that game. You saw that the pressure got to JJ Redick, and it happens. Like, it's his first time doing this. Like, of course the pressure's going to get to him because he's never been in this situation before, and it absolutely showed. He's playing Max Christie the other night, who hasn't played in like 3 months. What are we doing? Luka was dead tired. LeBron was dead tired, and it showed. LeBron had 5 points in the fourth quarter of the last 2 games. Luka's not playing any defense. He's just complaining the entire time to the referees.
Can we talk about that for a second? It's not to pile on Luka. Luka's a great player. And maybe Luka will win multiple rings. He's probably favored to do that in his career. He's still only 25. But that moment that played out, and you know what I'm talking about, with 3 minutes to play, when he basically allowed a T-Wolf to blow right by him and score. And then at the other end, he missed a layup and complained to the official. And then in transition, Minnesota scored. So on 3 possessions, it was an easy 2 because of a blow by of Luka. He missed a layup, complained about a foul. And as a result, it's a 5-on-4 the other way. And the T-Wolves score. I mean, how can you not go down with that narrative when we're watching that play out? Last year in the NBA Finals, everyone talks about his lack of defense. And then this year in this series, when it really counted, a 2-point game, he plays no defense there late. Again, I'm not saying it's going to define his entire career, but he does have to grow up in terms of both ends of the floor. And he's got a lot to prove to people because now that you're a Laker, you're going to have to win at the highest level. That's going to be a part of the story for Luka. Not to say it's not a great trade for the Lakers. I'm sure it is. But this was not a good start to that relationship the way it ended this year.
It's a great trade for popularity. It's a great trade for jersey sales. It's a great trade for brand. It's a great trade because he is a superstar player and he transcends, like, he's a one-name type of player. When you say Luka for basketball terms, again, basketball terms, right? Yeah. There's a bunch of other Lukas that play soccer. But if you said Luka, NBA, you know who you're talking about.
He's a brilliant scorer, Jim. It's just some of the other parts of his game, the complaining in the defense, like that's part of it.
Was Nico Harrison a little vindicated this series or not?
See, that was my question always to you heading in. Like, do the Lakers need to win? Now, I thought Alan Sliwa made a good point with us, which was let them have some time to build around Luka. They made a midseason trade. They couldn't address all of their issues just with one player. They obviously need help in the middle, Jim. Gobert yesterday had like the game of the history of the NBA. I mean, 27 points and 24 rebounds on the road against the Lakers is truly unbelievable and incredible.
He was so good last night that Shaquille O'Neal, hey, I'm Shaq, they're done. He was saying how great Rudy Gobert was, and Shaq hates Rudy Gobert. He like physically on the broadcast at halftime was like doing the like Rudy is amazing. Like he couldn't say it with a straight face, but he had to say it because the fact was Rudy Gobert played like Wilt Chamberlain last night.
27 and 24 in a road clincher goes down as an epic performance.
Dude, it was probably the best game of his career.
Probably.
Like it's as far as like the moment goes and the circumstances go, that was Rudy Gobert's best game. But anyway, I think this series, you could see it. There was a tipping point where you just were like, okay, Lakers don't have it, especially because JJ Redick's not playing anybody. He's just playing the same guys over and over again. And it's funny how guys like Austin Reeves doesn't have a good series. And a big part of that is because, shocker, the refs weren't gifting him fouls because he is a all-time grifter to get to the free throw line. I think he had like 2 free throws in the entire series.
Okay.
And he was awful. He's predicated on drawing fouls, getting to the line, and that's how he gets going. And because of that, because he didn't do that and he wasn't gifted some ticky-tack fouls to get to the free throw line, he had an awful series.
And we'll talk more about this later. There was so much talk about Luka and JJ Redick. You haven't heard the typical LeBron talk that you would hear.
Oh, you're going to hear it next
with the playoff exit. We'll get to that coming up. Also, the Padres system, where it's ranked by ESPN.com, but with a major, major asterisk. We'll explain why coming up as well. Stay with us. This is John and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by the San Diego Mojo. Padres, they have an off day today. They start a 9-game road trip starting in Pittsburgh tomorrow night against the Pirates. Dylan Cease will be on the mound for the Padres. The Lakers, their season is over as they got eliminated last night by the Timberwolves. The T-Wolves move on to the second round where they will face the winner of the Rockets-Warriors series as the Rockets they avoided elimination last night, forced a game 6 on Friday night. And tonight we have a couple of game 6s. Pistons and Knicks tip off at 4:30. Pistons looking to force a game 7. Same thing with the Clippers. They're looking to force a game 7 against the Nuggets. Tip off is at 7 p.m. in LA. Get ready to serve up some excitement with Major League Volleyball. Your San Diego Mojo are here at Viejas Arena, so you can get close to all the volleyball action. Get tickets starting at $15 at letsgomojo.com. That's letsgomojo.com.
All right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Rich Waltz, he's calling Padres Pirates tomorrow night from Pittsburgh on Apple TV. That's how you can watch. He'll join us coming up at 3:30. I want to tell you what Kylie McDaniel wrote about the Padres system in a moment, but I want you could address LeBron's postseason struggles here in year number 22. Wraps up year number 22, losing in 5 games in the first round. LeBron last won during the COVID year. And it's kind of been downhill ever since. And by kind of, you can eliminate the words kind of.
You know, people like Nick Wright, who are the flag bearers for LeBron is the greatest player of all time take, right? Nick Wright, to me, is like the front of that line, I feel like.
Not Sean Lewis.
Not
As
Sean
Texas
Lewis.
Head coach, we'll get into that later.
Yes, we will. But Nick Wright, he does a great job using big words to make it seem like his arguments are always the right arguments.
What kind of words?
Big
Just large words?
Like large, big words.
All
like
right.
words that would seem to make him, you know, if you're watching, it's like, he's
he
right.
Said precipitous.
Yeah, like, oh man, that sounds like a good word there.
He must be really good.
He's
LeBron.
really smart. Yeah.
Okay.
LeBron's great.
LeBron's awesome.
LeBron's awesome.
Yeah.
And then he uses statistics that only favor LeBron.
Okay.
So the other day, I gave you the stat of it took 13 years for Michael Jordan
To win 6 rings.
to win 6 rings, accomplish everything that he accomplished. LeBron is in year 22, and he still has yet to surpass Michael Jordan in a lot of different categories that made Michael Jordan the GOAT. Now, I don't want to get into the GOAT talk because it's stupid. Like it's just, it turns into arguments and it's just whatever. But it is interesting how when I tell you these, things that LeBron has done in his Laker career, how this is just going to be glossed over by the LeBron's the GOAT people.
Okay.
So LeBron in the Eastern Conference was he was the best. He seemingly when he was at the Cavs, his second stint, it was always finals. He made, I think, 9 straight NBA finals. That is a record. I don't know if that's ever going to be passed.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Now, he didn't win 9 straight finals.
Yeah.
He was, I believe, 4-5 in those finals.
Does that include the Lakers 2020, or were they 3-6 in those finals? Then he won his 4th in 2020 with the Lakers.
No, actually, he was 3-6 in those finals. You're absolutely He was 3-6 in those finals because he couldn't beat Steph. And the argument, he had KD. Okay, well, he lost the first time to Steph too. The Spurs beat him twice. Or no, Spurs beat him once, and the Mavericks beat him once in the first year he was in Miami. So he was 3-6 in those finals. Then he goes to LA, the Western Conference. All right. He's dominated the East.
Mm-hmm.
Comes to the Western Conference in LA. This is what LeBron has done in LA since 2019. Missed the postseason. COVID title.
Right. That's a hard part of it because, I got it. It's title, but
he gets it. But they also had 3 months off.
Yep. No, it's definitely different. Yep.
It's 100% in its own little category.
I agree.
First round exit, missed playoffs, swept in Western Conference Finals, first round exit. In his career with the Lakers in the postseason, he's 12-19. In his last 14 playoff games, he's 2-12.
It can't be 12. Is he really 12-19? It was the COVID title less rounds. How could he only have 12 wins? He's got a title. The title's 15 wins, isn't it? Or more, 16 now.
Well, I don't know. That's the number.
Is it?
Maybe it's more.
Maybe in his last 31?
Probably his last.
Maybe his last 31.
That's the number I saw.
Yeah.
But anyway, in his last 14,
he's 2-12.
He's 2-12. He got obviously one win this round. He I believe got one win in 2024, and then they got swept by the Nuggets.
That's the match,
in 2023.
But can I make this point? And you're right. Obviously, like the time in LA, there's 2020, and it does count. Although we like same way with the Dodgers, like it's not as real as you want to believe that it is. But I'll make this point. When he got to Los Angeles, even 6 years ago, that was season 17. Like, this is the end of his career. And by the way, he came to LA for more reasons than just winning. Yeah, they won in 2020, but he got to LA for the brand and the profile and right. Like he had already won when he got to LA. So I just don't know if like winning has been the end all be all for LeBron over the last 6 years. Don't you feel that way? Like it's been a part of it. And I think he wants the organization to, I mean, the Luka thing has been about winning, but again, they're out in the first round. It's just, I don't know. It's like he already did all of his damage in the Eastern Conference, to your point. I don't even know what the Laker part of his legacy is going to mean for his overall legacy. It's LeBron James. Even without the Lakers time, he's going to go down as one of the greatest. And you're right. In terms of the greatest ever, you can argue that for forever. So, I mean, what does this basically say? Like, what does this say to you that he hasn't really wanted a ridiculous clip as a member of the Lakers?
It tells me that
he's not the GOAT.
Well, I find it funny, and I see these people in the chat. Michael says, Jim, what are you talking about, man? LeBron's getting older, but he's still balling above his age. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely.
He is.
Of course he is.
Yeah, but this part, you just stop. NBA's gotten much tougher since the Jordan era. Okay.
I don't know if I would say that. I actually think the super team era has allowed players to kind of orchestrate their ability to get to deep postseason runs.
Comparing eras it's
hard to do.
Not only is it hard to do, it's not an argument that you can have because there's nothing to back up any of your claims as far as like era versus era go.
Well, let me ask you this.
It'll never play out.
Let me ask you this. Did LeBron increase his chances of winning an NBA title by pairing up with Wade and Bosh in Miami?
Yeah.
Now, Michael had Scottie Pippen and good players around him a lot, but it was never orchestrated. It was never, let's get, and by the way, LeBron's not the only player to do that. It's been done in Boston. The super team era has played out in front of our eyes, right? So LeBron's not the only one to take advantage of that. But I would actually argue that it was harder for MJ to do it in one spot without orchestrating teammates. The belief with LeBron is he pulls strings. You want this player? I'll go get him. You want to pair with Wade? You can go pair up with him. That wasn't really playing out when Michael Jordan was in the NBA.
LeBron is an all-time great.
Of course he is.
There's no doubt about it. He'll go down as the best player of this generation, even though a guy named Steph Curry has more titles.
He'll be remembered as the best player of this generation.
Yeah, he will be. He will be, even though Steph beat him multiple times in the NBA Finals. But anyway.
Need a KD.
Anyway, the thing with LeBron is if you were to say, sum up his time in LA, how would you sum it up?
That's like in a word, I would say, me personally, and I've watched all 6 of the seasons here in Southern California, right? I would say, and I do think this is fair, underwhelming.
I would agree.
It's never had the majesty of Kobe's mystique in Los Angeles. Now, I'm not saying Kobe's better than LeBron, but you can't compare Kobe's mystique in Los Angeles to LeBron's, correct?
No.
So I would say, and not that it's like extremely underwhelming, but I think to even like the most diehard Laker fan, when he got to LA 6 years ago, this has not lived up to what the most diehard Laker fan would have expected, would be my guess. Even with the 2020 ring, because the 2020 season is so bizarre. To your point, they're playing in Orlando with like the fake fans in the background, and they stopped the season for 90 days.
Yeah.
So like, again, it counts. I'm not going to say it doesn't count, but it doesn't count like real ones. It doesn't count like winning with the Heat or with the Cavs. to me.
Michael said in the chat, athletes are getting better and stronger every year.
Sure.
Are you saying all their sports have gotten better, but NBA has stayed the same or worse? What?
But that's where you said, like, you can't compare the eras. Of course, you could argue the hitters today are better than Babe Ruth, but that Babe Ruth's still Babe Ruth.
Yeah, like we want me to compare eras? Okay, cool. Put Steph Curry in this 50s. What happens then? Put LeBron in the 50s. Right. What happens then? You don't know because it will never happen.
And quarterbacks will end up having better numbers than Tom Brady. That doesn't mean Tom Brady wasn't a brilliant quarterback. Yeah. One of the greatest ever.
If Joe Montana played in this era,
his numbers would look different.
Way different.
His passing statistics would be different. The game was played different.
There's very few athletes that you could just stick in any era.
Yeah, there's a few.
And even then,
you
know what? We'll never know because guess what? We'll never be able to see it. It's all talk.
Yeah, like would Will Chamberlain have the same numbers today with 7'6" players all littered throughout the league?
I don't know. And anybody that's definitively saying yes or no, they don't know either.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's all about just comparing what you have seen and then making your own, a take on it.
But okay, let me ask you this. How does it ultimately end for LeBron? Is it the 25-26 season, Jim? Does he have more than one more season? This will be his 23rd.
Well, he's already in his mind, he's already done it all in his opinion, because what he was waiting for it to do was to play with his son. And he played with Bronny. And he even said it last night. That's the number one thing in his career that he views as the highlight of his career.
I get
playing with his son. Now, does he?
I get it.
Wait out for Bryce James, his other son that's going to Arizona, and then just force the Lakers to draft him in the second round too?
Are they going to have any roster spots for anyone not related to him?
No wonder JJ Redick won't play any bench because it's all going to be Bronny's kids. LeBron's kids.
I just wonder how it does end. But I mean, the legacy is secure. It's LeBron James. But you're right. I mean, is he going to finish with 6 rings? No, he's not going to get to 5 rings.
I'll just say this. When you talk about Michael Jordan, it's a pretty squeaky clean resume, right?
Other than the off court, yes.
Right. On the court.
Yeah. The 6 and 8 years with the 2 years off the court. Yeah, of course.
And look, he struggled early on in his career to get to the Pistons.
7 years, right?
It could not get through the Pistons. It was also the Celtics Eastern Conference when he first came up, but he didn't have any. It was like the same with LeBron, right? LeBron got to the NBA Finals one time, took that awful team there, and then just got boat raced by the Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
But once Jordan hit his peak, pretty flawless. LeBron has a lot of stains on his on-court resume. Not talking about on-court. There's a lot of things where you're like, okay, the first year in Miami, the last year in Miami, his Laker tenure, right? Like the Cavs thing where you couldn't beat the Warriors. Like,
yeah, it's fair.
He has a lot of highs,
but there's been a lot of lows. I agree. Yeah, you're right. Marshall, what do you got?
So I saw something earlier where it said that LeBron could opt out and go to Dallas to play with AD and Kyrie.
No,
stop. That's for another day. Yeah. Marshall filling in for Brent here today. Good to have him with us. All right, on the other side, let's get to the Padres system. According to Kylie McDaniel, with a big asterisk, plus Sean Lewis weighing in on the greatest of all time in the NBA. He's a big basketball fan. We'll share that with you coming up later in the show. This is John and Jim. All right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Rich Waltz, really good play-by-play guy. He's calling Padres Pirates tomorrow afternoon on Apple TV. He'll join us coming up at 3:30. Kylie McDaniel, I am efforting to get him on the show. You like that term, efforting? And by efforting, I emailed ESPN and they're like, I'll check. Anyway, he updated his prospect rankings today for ESPN.com. He started the year saying the Padres system was the 26th best in baseball, which I'm fine with because I'm more concerned about them being top 2 in Major League Baseball than top 2 in minor league baseball.
They can have the 30th ranked minor league system in baseball. If they win 100 games, exactly. I don't care.
Exactly. So that's fine. And I get it. They've traded away prospects. But what he had to say about Leo DeVries is honestly incredible. Okay, so DeVries
I like this tease.
1,000 OPS so far this year. Had the cycle game. 19 RBIs in 19 minor league games is a massive number.
He's been a stud.
Okay, so this is what he wrote about DeVries. DeVries is the same age as the top high school players in this year's Major League draft. Okay, he's 18. He not only would be the number 1 overall pick by a mile, but he'd be one of the best number 1 picks in recent memory. So he'd be the number 1 pick in today's draft, this summer's draft, by a mile, and one of the best in recent memory. That's the Padres' top prospect. Now, the system as a whole has been weakened by some of these trades, and we don't know about Ethan Salas, and nothing's a guarantee until it's a guarantee, including Leo DeVries. But for Kylie McDaniel, who makes his living doing this, to say that about Leo DeVries should be damn promising. I mean, this kid, as an 18-year-old, you don't have higher ceilings in the minors, according to Kylie McDaniel, than Leo DeVries.
We don't know if he's going to pop. We don't know if he's going to be good at the big league level, like you said. But remember the conversation we had? I forget when it was. Might have been this past January, off-season conversation. If you had to pick between Salas and DeVries, pick one that's going to pop at the big league level. I think we both picked DeVries.
Yeah, I think we did.
It just feels when you watch him play, when you see his at-bats, when you see the power, when you see just, his what he's doing at such a young age offensively, it's like, yeah, I'm going to take a chance on that guy.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing to say that, you don't think that Ethan Salas is going to be this all-star type of player. He doesn't have to be an all-star type of player. He could be a very serviceable catcher in the big leagues for 10 to 15 years. That would be great for him. But what we also did say is of Salas and DeVries, you kind of need one of those two to pop. And either or, like one of them's got to pop. If it's DeVries, that's great. If it's Salas, that's great. But one of them, you kind of feel like one of them's got to pop. And it seems right now that DeVries is obviously a long ways away, but what he's doing in the minors is very, 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 very promising.
I think it was within the last 2 days, you had a highlight up on your phone of a DeVries hit. I'm pretty sure
it was a home run, home run. Yeah.
And I didn't watch it, but I heard the sound of the ball off the bat.
And that's the first thing you said.
And the first thing I said, and I remember I was told this a few times in minor league baseball by scouts, just some balls off some bats sound different.
That's what was said about Tatis.
And not to say, again, there's no guarantee with anyone. There are injuries. There's things that sometimes become hard to overcome. But yeah, what they said about Tatis, the way the ball jumps off his bat, you can say the same thing probably about DeVries in the minor leagues. There's not a lot of 18-year-olds with this kind of power. Ever. There's a lot of guys that don't develop their power until the major leagues. Look at Jackson Merrill, who's emerged as one of the better players in the National League. He wasn't putting up these gaudy, flashy minor league home run numbers. And he broke through with 21. I think DeVries has a really good chance to break through probably at some point next year.
Here's my, I was going to say bold take, but it's not really a bold take. DeVries will be up by the end of next year. And starting in 2027, DeVries will be your starting shortstop. Xander Bogaerts will be at first base.
Do you want to go bolder than that and just change the year to 2026?
Just the start of next year?
I don't know if it'll be the start of next year, but is there a period, is there a stretch next year where that transition begins? DeVries forces his way through, has a good camp, hits 350 in AA. They say forget about AAA. Who cares? And here you are, bright lights, big stage, big leagues. I'm with you. I think it has a decent chance of happening by 2027, but I'm starting to wonder, could it happen at some point in 2026?
Maybe.
Maybe.
And that's up to Xander. It really is. Is Xander going to produce? Or he's going to be the player that he is right now, which is a complete shell of himself,
right?
And not even close to the money that he's making. Is Xander going to actually put together and have some, not say pride, but can he just like, I don't know, get out of his own way and play better? That's going to be up to him. But I do think at the earliest, 2027, the team will look like this. Ethan Salas behind the plate, Xander at first, Jake at second, DeVries at short, Manny at third, Tatis in right, Merrill in center. I don't know who the left fielder is or the DH, but
yeah,
still,
that's fine. Yeah. I mean, I tend to agree with you.
And hopefully, praying this happens, you sign Michael King to a long-term extension. So then you can have a rotation of King, Pivetta, Joe.
I don't know if Joe would still even 27.
27.
That'd be the last year of his deal.
I think so.
Yeah, last year of his deal.
Yeah. So there you go.
Darvish.
Your closer's Jeremiah Estrada.
Yeah.
Darvish will be, I think, retired. I don't think he's lasting another 2 years.
Right.
That's pretty good.
It's really good.
That's pretty good. And you got a couple guys on the team that if they can be everyday players like Ethan Salas and Leo DeVries making absolutely no money. You've already locked up Jackson Merrill. You don't have to worry about that.
Is Salas really playing? Is he your primary catcher in 2027? Is that aggressive?
Bro, they're going to want to get him up, I feel like, because they don't have any other option at catcher.
True.
And if they're going to view him as an everyday guy, defensively, he's way closer to the big leagues than offensively, but they, I think, can live with it and just like let him try to figure it out at the plate at the big league level. But but defensively, they'll plug and play him because they love that.
But I do like hearing again, Kylie DeVries, like two things can be true. 26th best system, probably because of lack of depth. But the number one pick in this year's draft would be Leo DeVries, and he says by a mile. And he'd not only be the number one pick, he would be one of the best number one picks in recent memory. I mean,
wow,
that is really, really high praise. You think about number one picks. Bryce Harper's a former number one pick. Steven Strasburg's a former number one
pick. Paul
pick.
Skeens.
Yeah, there have been some unbelievably good number one picks over the last 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
And to put him even in those categories, again, no guarantee, but that I think is encouraging if you're a Padres fan. All right, coming up on the other side, again, Rich Waltz, he will call tomorrow's game for Apple TV. He will join us coming up at 3:30. Plus, we'll give you our biggest takeaways from the first month of the Padres season. They're 30 games in, folks. 19-11, a winning percentage over 600. They'll begin a 9-game road trip tomorrow in Pittsburgh against the Pirates. We'll give you our biggest takeaways from the first month of the season after this timeout. Hour 2, John and Jim.
What?
Next.
All right, this update is brought to you by the San Diego Mojo Padres. They have an off day today. They'll start a 9-game roadie in Pittsburgh starting tomorrow night. Dylan Cease will be on the mound for the Padres. NBA playoff action happening later tonight. Pistons and Knicks tip off at 4:30. Pistons looking to force a game 7. Knicks looking to close out the Pistons and move on to the second round. And same thing with the Clippers tonight as they trail 3-2 to the Nuggets. Tip-off time, 7 p.m., Game 6 in LA. Clippers looking to force a Game 7. Nuggets looking to move on to the second round. Get ready to serve up some excitement with Major League Volleyball. Your San Diego Mojo are here at Viejas Arena, so you can get close to all the volleyball action. Get tickets starting at $15 at letsgomojo.com. That's letsgomojo.com.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's John and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of John and Jim. Rich Waltz, really good play-by-play guy, does a lot of Mountain West work. Calling Padres Pirates tomorrow afternoon on Apple TV. He will join us coming up at 3:30, and we are here until 6 p.m. Hard to believe, Jim, we are a month into the season. And by a month in, I mean actually more than a month in because the season started, I think, March 27th. But 30 games in, calendar flips to May. Padres begin this 9-game road trip. I think almost every Padres fan would have taken 19-11, nearly 667 baseball. 19-11 right there in the NL West. So what are your primary takeaways? We can go back and forth. Like, what is the primary reason as to why? And there are a number of them that they're in this spot. 19-11 overall, contending in the NL West. Again, 30 games in, 132 to play, but off to one of the better starts in franchise history.
There's a lot, actually, for me. I think the biggest takeaway has to be the play of Fernando Tatis Jr. Coming off of the year he had last year, you saw it at the end of the year heading into the postseason in September. And then obviously in the postseason, he was phenomenal. He, at one point in time, it's like, guy's incredible. I mean, he just always rises to the big moments in the postseason. When the lights are the brightest, he performs. I mean, that home run in Game 3 against the Dodgers, like, literally shook downtown San Diego. It was incredible. And the biggest question for him is, like, coming in this year, like, can you stay healthy? Can you stay healthy?
Right.
Because he missed so much time last year with another injury. And then there was a little scare with his shoulder early on here. But through the first month of the year, he is playing at an MVP level. He looks healthy. He's playing like he's healthy. And so far, so good for Fernando Tatis Jr. He has played fantastic for this team.
Completely agree. He's a big reason why they're 19-11. Here's where I'm going to go, and this will surprise to some extent because there's other places you could go. But again, to go 19-11, it's going to take a variety of pieces and players. He hasn't gotten the most acclaim in the rotation. He hasn't gotten the most acclaim in general. But I'm going to say Michael King, because since the trade, the Soto trade, obviously was very stabilizing a year ago, his first full-time year as a starter. He's followed it up, Jim, with a terrific start that hasn't been as good as Nick Pavetta's, so it's a little under the radar. He's got a 2.09. He's 4-1. He's got a 1.3 WAR, which means he's pacing for like a 7 WAR.
That's incredible.
And again, his long-term future in San Diego, you mentioned it earlier, is critically important. I don't know if we will see that come to fruition or not. It's probably for another day. I would love to see him here well beyond 2025. But in the here and now, Michael King is such a constant, dude. His overall numbers as a Padre, let me find them. In 38 starts, he's 17-10 with a 2.80. This guy's a stud. Michael King is an absolute stud. I hope we see him here long term. I hope he leads the way in 2025 because he's turned into one of the best pitchers in baseball. He just has over the last 2 years in San Diego. Can you top that?
I will try to top that.
Okay.
Can I give you the Padres bullpen, John?
Oh, you're going to raise me? Okay.
Yes. The Padres bullpen have been incredible this year. You got Robert Suarez, Jeremiah Estrada, Jason Adam, and Adrian Morahone. Those 4 guys right there have been really, really solid for the Padres. The thing with Robert Suarez is he's just lights out. He hasn't blown a save this year. He looks incredible. Having a rocky spring training, we kind of were wondering, all right, is this guy going to perform? Is he not? Pick up the phone, Marshall. There you go. But he absolutely has. He absolutely has. Listen to these numbers here. All right.
Listening.
Jason Adam. All right. 17 innings pitched. Okay. He's got a 1.06 ERA. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Adrian Morahone, 15 and a third, 1.76 ERA. Is that good? Robert Suarez, 14 innings pitched, 0.64 ERA. Is that good?
That's good.
Jeremiah Estrada, 15 innings pitched, 2.4 ERA. Is that good?
That's good.
Yeah, that's the back end of their bullpen. Like the bullpen has been incredible. It's led the way. Robert Suarez is 12 for 12 in save opportunities this year. He's only allowed 1 earned run. The biggest thing with Robert Suarez last year is he gave a bunch of home runs late in the year. Hasn't given up a home run at all this year. I'm going with the bullpen, John.
I'm going to raise.
Okay, raise me.
Because hear me out. And I'm just doing the deep dive on this right now. So when the Padres traded for Luis Arraez May 4th last year, they were either 17 and 18 or 18 and 18. Okay, so 500 team. They end up finishing the year 24 games over 500. This year, when he's played, they're 18 and 6. But even if you say 19 and 11, either 18 and 6 when he's played or 19 and 11 overall. Think about that. They are, since acquiring Luis Arraez, 32 games over 500 as a team. As a team.
Okay.
24 games over last year, 8 games over this year.
Okay.
They're 32 games over 500 since acquiring Luis Arraez. Again, you can't say any one player is the only reason why a team is having success. You can't say about any one player. But it's coincided, man. Luis Arraez has hit as a Padre, easier said than done. They've made other acquisitions before where the players tail off in San Diego for whatever reason offensively. Arraez has been a constant. He doesn't rely on power, obviously. He's not a brilliant defender, but he's been a winner here, dude. I mean, he just has been, and he won the batting title last year. Maybe he's able to do that again in 2025, but from a team perspective, since the day he got here, they're 32 or 33 games over 500. Is that good? Even though it's not the Is That Good segment. It is.
It's very good. I'll
You're
raise
gonna
you.
raise me?
I will raise
I got all
you.
my chips in now.
Nick Pivetta.
Yeah, that's a good one to raise with.
1.78 ERA.
Yep.
He's got a 0.82 whip on the year. 39 strikeouts, only 8 walks. Wow. He's 5-1 on the year. 35 and a third innings pitched. I mean, do I need to say more?
How many hits has he allowed in 35 and a third innings?
21 hits in 35 and a third innings pitched this season. Again, his whip is incredible at a 0.82.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, Michael King has been fantastic, like you said.
Pavetta's been better.
Nick Pavetta's been better.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get Dylan Cease back on track, I do feel like that, he's got a 5.76 ERA on the season, but that blow up start in Sacramento, take those numbers away. He's still very solid for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Not to the level of King and Pivetta, but he's still very solid. So Nick Pivetta, to me, that's my raise to your raise. And now
you're gonna fold.
I'm not gonna fold.
Here's where you're gonna fold.
Oh, really?
Xander Bogaerts. Let me explain. I'm kidding.
I win.
No, I mean the last piece I would just go with for a moment is Mike Schilt.
Okay.
And again, a lot of mine, like I said, King Arraez Schilt, and all of this stems to like this nouveau era, the last 2 years, not the Machado era, not the Toddy era, not the big spending era, not the 40,000 fans every night at Petco era. Since 2024, dude, Schilt there have been highs and lows here, but Schilt has been a constant. He deserves credit. Again, I'm not saying they couldn't have won with Bob Melvin as their manager or another manager in baseball. I'm sure they could have. But for whatever reason, coinciding with King, coinciding with Arise, coinciding with Schild. That manager, those players, this team has played some of the better baseball in the sport over the last couple of years. And just Mike Schild is content for what you and I do.
I love it.
And he's a good manager.
Very good.
It's hard to quantify how good. You know, he hasn't won in the postseason by and large, right? Whether it was in St. Louis or San Diego. He's had a little bit of success in postseasons. He still needs to prove himself as a good postseason manager. That's the thing that's held Bob Melvin back. He hasn't managed in a World Series. But I really do like Mike Schild as a manager. I don't know where he would rank Jim because there's a subjectivity to it. But Schild gets credit, right, for the way they've gotten off to the start, especially when you consider the injuries. They've had a lot of injuries, and they've basically overcome them to this point.
Ready for this?
Oh, no, you're not going to raise Mike Schild, are you?
I'm not raising Mike Schild. Winners find solutions, John.
Exactly. He coined that.
I know he did.
Right?
Winners find solutions.
Yeah.
Grit squad, John.
Right.
Grit squad up.
He says that 2 seconds into the press conference.
Sometimes less than 2 seconds in. I've timed it before.
Yeah.
It became my favorite bit to start the year is to time how long it would take Mike Schild to say Grit Squad to start his press conferences. He's definitely tailed off, and I'm very disappointed in that.
Yeah, he hasn't been saying it over. Well, they also were 3-8 over 11.
I'm extremely disappointed in him for not opening every single press conference after a win with Grit Squad. Like that's got to be the first words out of your mouth after every single win, especially wins where you have these past two games. Past 2 games, Grit Squad.
Grit Squad. Wait, have you raised me with Mike Schild slang?
I've raised you with Mike Schild slang. I win.
You win. And again, there's so many reasons. I mean, there are so many reasons. You know, Manny Machado is in there, or like you mentioned, Tyler Wade, or some of these others. Elias Diaz, a couple of impactful home runs over the last week.
Did not expect on my bingo card of things of why positives. The Padres that were good this month in positives is Tyler Wade. I didn't even think he was going to be on his team.
Well, okay. Here, let me ask you this. Fast forward a month. What will we be saying about their May? Pavetta continues to lead the way. Man, the return of Jackson Merrill's meant a lot. Fernando's still Fernando. What do you think is most likely for May?
Should we look at the schedule, John?
Not just the series. I want every game and the start time and the network.
Easy.
I'm kidding.
So Friday, they play the Pittsburgh Pirates, John.
On Apple TV at 3:40.
Yeah, great start time.
It is very good for us.
Very good for us. And then all next week, even better for us, Yankees for 3, Colorado on the road. First time they're facing the Rockies on the road. Then you got the Angels for 3, followed by the start of the Vetter Cup.
Yes, that's right, against Seattle.
Bro. Then you got a 6-game series with Toronto and Atlanta. And you finish off the month with 3 against Miami and then 3 against Pittsburgh. Maybe Darnay Tripp will get his wish, and the Padres will face Paul Skeens at the end of the month.
And that's coming up within the month. That's in May. Pittsburgh comes here in May.
They play the Pirates 6 times in May. Well, actually
Terrific.
5, because one time they play them in June. And I actually will probably miss that game because I will be in Hawaii. So you're welcome, everybody.
So soft.
I will be so soft when the Padres put up 7 runs on Paul Skeens, and you have 7,000 people in the YouTube chat for the wrap-up show after Jackson Merrill hit 2 home runs on Paul Skeens.
2.
And I'll be 3, sorry. And I'll be in Hawaii drinking Mai Tais.
Sounds pretty good. All right. On the other side, I want to get to something that Sean Lewis tweeted today. The Aztecs head football coach.
Yes.
That has nothing to do
Embrace the bait,
with college football. We'll hear from Sean Lewis. So we'll react to one of his tweets from earlier today. Plus Rich Waltz, Apple TV. He's calling Padres Pirates. He'll join us at 3:30. This is John and Jim. All right, San Diego FC back in action Saturday. Snapdragon Stadium. Take it on Dallas FC. You can hear the match live Saturday night, 5:45 pre. It'll get underway at 6:15 on San Diego Sports 760. Your home for SDFC. Rich Waltz, Apple TV Plus, Friday Night Baseball calling Padres Pirates tomorrow night. He'll join us coming up at 3:30. It was much to my surprise on my way to Orange Theory today to see this tweet from Sean Lewis. Okay. Second-year head coach of the Aztecs football team. Everything going on in the world of college athletics. I like this. I'm pretty sure Sean is a diehard Chicago Bulls fan.
Okay.
And a big NBA fan in general. He tweets this out this morning. I think it was around 7 a.m. A lot of emojis, like a palm tree followed by what is this right here? A whale. Palm tree, whale, palm tree, whale, palm tree.
I think that's a wave. Wait, is it a whale?
I think it's a whale, dude. I just like broke my wrist.
Why don't you put your computer down? All right.
You could just look at the tweet, right?
I could look at the tweet. Everything's gonna be fine. You're gonna need to go to the doctor now.
Ow.
I heard your wrist crack.
Cracked. Anyway, he puts out this tweet that says 1A MJ with a goat emoji.
Oh no, that's like a strong, like the strong arm, but it's like a robotic strong arm.
All right, robotic strong arm emoji. I didn't know that was available yet. But then he says 1A MJ with a goat emoji. All right. So he's chiming in here on the NBA.
Okay.
Of the last, like, let's say 4 decades. Then he says 1B Kobe with like a mamba snake emoji.
Okay.
Then there's a space to another line. So it's like 1A and 1B, and then a return button, then another return. 2, LeBron with a king crown emoji. Then he says, make it a great day, smiling emoji. But he has 1A MJ, 1B Kobe, a full line down, 2 LeBron crown emoji. Is this a hot take? Because actually, to me, it's not overly bold or hot of a take. I think there's a lot of people that would agree with that.
I would say this. If that is what Sean Lewis believes, then let the man believe it. Why? I mean, everybody has their opinion. I think Steph Curry is, to me, like one of the greatest players of all time. A lot of people don't believe that. I do. Now, again, am I biased with my take because he's on my favorite basketball team and he's my favorite basketball player of all time? Like, yeah. But, there's a lot of people out there that are Lakers fans that Kobe is their favorite basketball player of all time. So it's really hard for them to put Kobe ahead of LeBron. Or sorry, LeBron ahead of Kobe. Yeah. So I get it. Everybody has their own opinion. Don't listen to what Nick Wright says. Don't listen to what anyone else says. If you have an opinion and it's your opinion and your favorite player and you believe this player, in your ranking system is there, so be it.
Here's the thing.
It's fine.
It's
okay.
I'm biased because of Kobe too. Not because of Laura Marion.
Right, because you played dodgeball.
Me and him were boys, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we basically were on the same state championship high school team. And by basically, I mean, he was on the team and I watched. Right. So that's basically the same team,
it's the same. You were at his announcement, like basically.
I was when he announced on
stage.
Yeah, wearing that tan suit.
Yep.
I was there when the gym was dedicated to him. Anyway, I'm a Kobe lifer, right? Because I literally went to high school with him. So because of that bias, I'm willing to put Kobe there too. Here's my thing with Kobe and why I think it's a factor. You're right. LeBron's going to have the better stats, the more seasons, more points, more finals appearances, yada, yada, yada. Kobe has 5 rings in 7 trips. Lost to the Pistons in what, 04? When else did he lose?
5 and 7. He lost
5 and 2.
He lost to the Celtics in 08.
Okay. Yeah. 5 and 2 is a good winning percentage and is a ton of hardware, right? 5 and 2. So, and in a sport like the NBA, it's so ring heavy. We don't say it in Major League Baseball. You're not going to be like, you know what? Tyler Wade was a better player than Jeter. He's got, like, if he had more rings, bad example. But I mean, it's not so ring dependent in baseball. It is in football in the NBA, but I think rings matter. So MJ's got 6. Kobe's 5 and 2 in finals. LeBron's like 4 and 30 in finals. He's compiled a lot.
He's 4 and 6.
Whatever. I mean, I think it's at least a fair argument. Yes, you could easily make the argument for LeBron because of all the stats over 22 years. But I don't think it's that controversial to put Kobe ahead of LeBron. I really don't. I think a lot of Laker fans would do the exact same thing. To your initial point.
To each their own, man. To each their own, it's fine.
Now, Steph's not on his list for Sean.
That's okay. I'll forgive Sean for that. Maybe he's like third or fourth.
I'll ask you about, would you put Steph over Kobe Bryant?
In my opinion,
Yeah. We can't go off the air.
I know. I get
it. We have to say something. I'm saying. You say yes.
No, because he's got no. I don't know. And again, these things are so stupid. I always loathe when I hear like GOAT talk and like rankings and stuff because it's all subjective and it's all just what that person believes and feels like. There's never going to be a definitive list ever because, like I said, it's all someone's opinion on where these guys are ranked, and we'll never know because we're never going to clip these guys out of their primes and I'll put them in one NBA season to see who wins the title. Right? We're never going to see that. So it's all opinion based. It's all subjective. But, for me, Steph Curry, I tend to like the argument of looking at players who change the game of basketball. And Steph, to me, changed the game of basketball more than LeBron and Kobe ever did.
Well, the change conversation wasn't the tweet from Sean Lewis today.
I know it wasn't.
He didn't do the change tweet. He just did the 1A, 2. I mean, like you said, the GOAT conversation is a tough conversation that happens every day on PTI and First Take.
It reminds me of the Mount Rushmore conversations. Like,
well, again,
who's on your Mount Rushmore?
I like it when I see it from like a college football coach.
It's funny.
This isn't so like Stephen A does this every day. Nick Wright does this every day. Sports talk shows, they have to talk every single day.
Nick Wright is.
I like that Sean weighed in is my point.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, who else is weighing in?
We are.
Well, we're reacting to what he said.
Right. Imagine making a career of just glazing LeBron like Nick Wright has. Good for him.
By the way, I don't even know what network Nick Wright is on.
You don't?
I don't know if it's ESPN or Fox. I've never once listened to anything he's ever said other than something you've probably had us play on the air. I don't know what he's on.
He's on Fox.
To me, he doesn't resonate. I'm sure to a lot of people he does.
I think he resonates because Colin has really taken to Nick Wright.
Okay.
And so it's like, in the wrestling terms, putting someone over. He has put over Nick Wright.
Does that mean like
elevate?
Put him up on pedestal?
He's elevated him.
What is he have his own show or is he more of a guest?
No, he has his own show with Chris Broussard. And I forget the other guy's name is.
Radio or TV? So what's the show?
First Things First or
First Things First. Okay.
Whatever it's called. Yeah.
I was just curious because I don't watch him. I'm sure a lot of people do. I don't. He's not as relevant to me as some of the Stephen A's and the Colin Cowherds.
The what's it called? Freezing cold takes or whatever. The Twitter account. First person they retweeted last night was Nick Wright. So I thought that was fun.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Because he was going off about the Lakers dynasty.
It's just and also, there might be a lot of animosity towards Nick Wright for me personally because he has always rooted against my favorite teams. So there it is right there. So,
there it is.
Anyway.
All right. On the other side, Rich Waltz, Apple TV Plus, Friday Night Baseball calling Padres Pirates tomorrow night. He'll preview that game for us and this upcoming series coming up next. John and Jim.
All right, this update's brought to you by Dairy Queen. Padres have an off day today. They start a 9-game road trip, starting with the Pittsburgh Pirates tomorrow night in Pittsburgh. Dylan Cease will be on the mound for the Padres. NBA playoff action in about an hour from now. Tip-off in Detroit, Pistons and Knicks. Game 6. Pistons looking to force a Game 7. Knicks looking to eliminate the Pistons, move on to round 2. Clippers and Nuggets, Game 6 at 7 p.m. in LA. Clippers looking to do the same thing as the Pistons, trying to force a Game 7, while the Nuggets are looking to advance to the second round. Get big summer flavor in every bite with the new DQ Summer Blizzard Treat menu, featuring new mixing bowl mashups, fan-voted s'mores, and more for a limited time right now at DQ. Happy taste good at participating locations.
All right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Padres Pirates will get a series underway tomorrow night in Pittsburgh, tomorrow afternoon in San Diego. 3:40 the start time. You can watch that game on Apple TV Plus. We've always been praising the broadcast, the quality of them. You can watch the Padres again tomorrow on Apple TV Plus. Rich Waltz, great broadcaster. A lot of Aztec fans are aware with the Mountain West games. It's called Major League Games for a long time. He's with us right now, John and Jim. San Diego Sports 760. First of all, Rich, hope you're doing well. And let's just start with these Padres who are 19-11, 1 month into the season. What's impressed you most about the way they've started? And thanks for hopping on.
Hey, it's great to be on. And thanks for the compliments. The Apple TV games are a lot of fun to work on as for a broadcaster, too. A lot of cool toys, cameras, tech. The MLB Network folks in the production truck. It's all good. And it's been fun to watch the Padres this week, just prepping for this game. They had a great start and then a stumble and a nice little 2-game sweep of the Giants. Look, the pitching staff is terrific. Pavetta's arrival has been outstanding. The bullpen's lights out. We had in our research, we get a lot of research from MLB Network for these games and really good breakdown on the bullpen and all that. And don't score a lot of runs. I think I just saw that right now after the game today, they're 21st in the major leagues in runs scored. But when your ERA is 2.86 as a team, you don't need to. But I think they'll start to score more runs as it goes on. Bogart's finally got his first home run the other day. And if he can start to swing it, that certainly will help it. Arise is back, right? Hopefully Jackson Merrill and Cronenworth are back soon as well. So look, 19-11, it's a good place to be. Rotation should get healthier. Hopefully if Darvish gets back soon. Bullpen's great. I think that's all good. And there's no transfer portal in the National League West.
Yeah.
Last time I looked.
Yeah. Thankfully there is no transfer portal. What makes the Apple TV broadcast stand out among other broadcasts with all the, analytic numbers and everything that goes into what we're going to see, tomorrow night?
There's a lot of things that go into it. Apple is very much involved in this. They like to have a look. The graphics are very different. The graphics look a lot like your iPhone would. The cameras that they use are a little bit different, sharper, cool images. That Megalodon type camera that they have that's on the field. We get incredible access on the field with our cameras in terms of interviews, in terms of following guys out on the field, following guys around the bases on home runs and stuff like that. Don and Mud and that show, my buddy Jason Lewis is their terrific producer. The Padres have one of the great vibes in terms of their telecast, right? It's very unique. It's very San Diego. Those two guys have such great chemistry. And so that's a show that I really like. With Apple, it's a really different vibe. The technology is different. We have a lot of in-game sound from the field, sound from managers, sound from players. We actually, there's always a spot where we take, and we have terrific audio folks that are in the truck and around the ballpark. we take a batter or two, and all we do is just listen to the sounds around the ballpark. And it's, especially if you've got a surround sound system with your TV hookup, you hear the vendors, you hear the chatter in the batter's box. You get a really clear umpire, catcher, conversation type stuff. All of those things, I think Apple is really proud of. It's a team effort. It's Apple's sports division. Royce Dickerson is a terrific visionary guy that's leading that. And then you've got MLB Network, who for years has been the gold standard of production in terms of the showcase games, and they've kind of channeled a lot of that into these Apple Friday night shows. So it's a really good combination of those two. Baseball savvy. You can get as much information as you want, and you have some analytics. But as a play-by-play announcer, and I'm with Ryan Spilborgs, who's just such a fun guy to do games with. Trisha Whitaker's our sideline. She's really involved. I like storytelling. I like knowing about Tirso Ornelas. I like knowing about Tatis and his year that he's had. So analytics are big, but I'm more into the storytelling stuff. Tirso's story of 8 seasons in the minor leagues and all those plate appearances, and now getting a shot and all of that. And I'm really interested to talk to Mike Schilt too in his second year. We get long meetings with managers before each game. He's a guy that I always liked in St. Louis. I thought he got a really raw deal there, and I thought the Padres were smart to bring him on and smart to give him the job when Bob left for San Francisco. And I really feel, and you guys would know this better than me because you're around the club, but just looking at these guys, talking to people I know in that organization, it feels like the clubhouse chemistry is so much better than it was in 2023. Am I right, or am I just dreaming that?
No,
up?
I think that's basically what the belief is. That Mike Schilt points people and teams in the same direction. He really gets credit for that here. I mean, you look at his overall managerial mark between St. Louis and San Diego is incredible. I mean, the guy's done everything but really win at the highest level in the postseason. But what he's done in the regular season has been absolutely incredible. We're with Rich Waltz, Apple TV Plus. By the way, they do a terrific job with Major League Soccer as well, because we've been watching San Diego FC on Apple TV. Again, we'll have the call tomorrow, Friday Night Baseball, Padres and Pirates. Speaking of the Pirates, what is it like? Like, what are they selling? Obviously, they've got this NL Rookie of the Year in Paul Skeens. Haven't been in the postseason in forever, and those were wild card series. Seemingly from the outside, you would think that Paul Skeens eventually will end up somewhere else, because that's just how it works in some of these smaller markets that aren't San Diego. What's the belief in the organization in terms of how they get this thing right moving forward?
It's a great question, and I don't know that they know the answer to that. I think they're trying to. Look, when you're down, and the Padres have had spells like this, every team seemingly has gone through this. A lot of times you look around the landscape of baseball and say, okay, how are teams getting it done? I remember when the Astros were so bad, and then through, they really were the first to embrace the driveline pitching analytics, Brent Strawn, their pitching coach, and suddenly they built that juggernaut. They drafted well. They signed and developed well. A lot of people were like, we want to be like the Astros. Lower market teams oftentimes say, we want to be the Rays. We want to have such great analytics and be able to find those hidden gems. Or we want to be like Cleveland, and the way they've done it with their ability to develop pitching and such like that. This week I'm diving into the Pirates, and they have a decent farm system. And they have some more arms on the way. They don't have bats. They really have trouble scoring runs. I was at the game last night, and I was at the game today and watched Skeens throw. He gave up 3 homers, and they just can't score right now. So if I'm the Pirates, I would look at a team like the Tigers, right, who weren't great, had a tough time, getting their nose above water and staying there, similar markets and revenues and stuff like that. And they hired a really sharp general manager from San Francisco. And in about 3 years' time, their farm system is stocked with prospects. They've got a fun major league team. They were in the postseason last year. That, to me, would be a team that I would look at if I were them and say, that's that's who I want to be. That's what I got to do. So it's tough. I mean, it's got to start with ownership. The Padres, the beneficiaries of an ownership group that really had put money into it and really wanted to win and all of that. And I think that's helped certainly down there. And I think that's, probably what's lacking in Pittsburgh is, hey, can we get a plan that works, and can we put funds into it? And it's not just, I talked to we had Cleveland last week. It's not just, let's go sign big free agents. Let's lock everybody up. Let's have a big payroll. I mean, the Rays, the Guardians almost got me there. Their secret sauce is they pay their minor league instructors well. They pay their scouts well. They draft, they develop, and that's their lifeblood. And I think that's where Pittsburgh has to get to, in my, humble opinion.
You mentioned Fernando Tatis Jr. You're excited to, watch him tomorrow and the story of how he has played this year. I'm curious to get your opinion on where would you put Tatis over the entire landscape of baseball when he's fully healthy? Like, would you put him top 3, top 5? Like, where in your opinion, when Tatis is playing like this, you would have him ranked in all of baseball?
Yeah, well, that's the mystery, not a mystery, but the thing about him is the part you mentioned, healthy. Can he stay healthy? Last year, I believe it was a stress reaction in his leg. I think he played just over 100 games. And of course, in 22, he had the PED season. He's as good as anybody. I mean, really, I love the fact that he's in the leadoff spot. Teams are really, a lot of teams have started to shift a guy like a dynamic hitter into that leadoff spot. I'd love to see 150 games this year and see where those numbers end up. And I think too, and again, I'll defer to you guys because I'm curious about this too. Part of the clubhouse chemistry to me, maybe addition by subtraction, back in, between 23 and 24 with a certain superstar. But I think Tatis has done a pretty good job of winning the clubhouse back in 23, maybe probably 24 as well. Because when you go through something like you did in 22, there's a lot of damage and stuff you have to repair. And it really feels like he's gone, he's been able to do that, which I don't think is easy, but I think that's helped too. Am I missing that?
No, I think you're spot on. He's just grown up, Rich, kind of in front of our eyes. I mean, he came up as a kid and he was very laughable and amicable, even with serious subjects when he was younger. And you don't really hear that as much from him. Like anyone, it's like when we were 20, we weren't under a microscope. When he was 20, he was under a microscope. And I just feel like Fernando Tatis Jr., he says the right things. Like he's very aware. He's matured a lot. I would also say nobody wants to go through a PED suspension. And I'm not saying he's better for it, but it does feel as if he's learned from everything that kind of played out.
What also helped him too, because he ended up getting surgery that offseason, which he would have never gotten if he never got suspended.
Yeah, the shoulder, right?
Yep, the shoulder and the wrist.
So he kind of got healthier. Yeah. But I think it's a good point, Rich.
Right. There's a good dose. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like from the outside. There's a good dose of humility that comes with that. And there's a lot of work to repair relationships and trust with your manager, trust with your teammates. And it feels like he's done that. And it's great. Look, I'm a big Luis Ariz fan too. So I'm really happy that he's back. It was fun the other night to watch. The telecast was essentially a tribute to Tony Gwynn, and it was really fun to hear Mud tell a lot of the stories. And Ariz, is in that conversation simply because of his skills and similarities in terms of approach as a hitter. So I'm really happy that Ariz is back. And it's, Tony Gwynn for me has always held a really special spot because as a young broadcaster, I was with the Mariners for a good spell, and then the Marlins. as a young broadcaster with the Mariners, we'd come in, and they were back then interleague partners with the Padres. So I remember coming in as a young broadcaster, and the first time I went down to, it was then Jack Murphy, and go over to the Padre side, and there's Tony sitting on the bench by himself at 3:00 in the afternoon. No one's out. Tony's out, and it's like, hey, he'd say, "Hey, come on over, let's talk." And we would talk about basketball most of the time, and the fact that he was such a great point guard. And I, at that time, was starting to do some Mountain West stuff. Coach Fisher had just arrived at San Diego State, and Tony was like, a lot of stories about playing BYU and stuff like that. So that was really fun. And then you ask him hitting questions. I was a college player, so I immediately have got questions about, hitting. And he was just so good to a nobody like me. And then in subsequent times when I saw him, I would watch him, and he was the same way with ushers, with security people, with other broadcasters, with other players. So that's one of the fun things for me when I get to go to San Diego and do baseball or do a Padres game.
No doubt about it. Really well said, Rich. We enjoyed you hearing that insight and that perspective and those stories. We're looking forward to your call tomorrow night, Friday Night Baseball, Apple TV, 3:40 Pacific, Padres and Pirates. And then I'm sure we'll see you in San Diego soon for either a Padres game or an Aztecs football or basketball game. But we appreciate you hopping on, Rich, and have a good call tomorrow night, all right?
Guys, thank you. And I'll be watching the Padres. You start to study about a team, and then you're like, hey, I kind of like this team. And the Padres are one of those. I'm really interested to see how this season plays out for them, and it'll be fun to see them tomorrow.
No doubt about it. We appreciate it, Rich. Have a good call.
All right, thank you. See you guys.
All right, take care. On the other side, we've got an update on this Tyrese Halliburton dad story that we'll share with you, plus the wrap coming up at 4 p.m. This is John and Jim. All right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Kevin Acee has spoken with Xander Bogaerts about his struggles. We'll share some of that conversation from an article he just published coming up at the top of the hour. Good to catch up with Rich Waltz, by the way, who's calling that game tomorrow night on Apple TV Plus. What do you got?
I was going to say, and reading this article during the break,
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting.
no, it's more than kind of interesting.
I know.
We need more than 5 minutes to talk about it.
It's definitely eye-opening, and I don't know if I should be as concerned as I am after reading it, because I'm kind of concerned.
I'm more concerned after reading it than I was about.
I'm probably there with you.
Yeah, we'll talk about what Kevin spoke with Xander about, what Xander had to say coming up in about 10 minutes. There's an update to this Tyrese Halliburton dad story, this ridiculous story where his father raced onto the floor and got into the face of Giannis after the Pacers won that series remarkably in overtime in Game 5. And the update is he's just not going to attend team home or road games for the foreseeable future, according to a Pacers spokesman. So no fines, but kind of like stay away, dude, because what happened can't continue to happen. And they got lucky that nothing worse happened after Game 5, considering how bizarre that scene was on floor.
Did you see like the different camera angle?
I did. Yeah, I went back. I did watch it. Yeah.
From the end of that game where Giannis is just standing there, his dad, Tyrese Halliburton's dad, just walks on the court.
Yeah.
With like a flag or something.
Or like a sign or a flag. Yeah.
And he didn't go to Giannis initially, but then when he like turned around, he saw Giannis and he slowly started walking towards him, started talking to him. And then one of the Bucks players came over and tried to stop Giannis from doing anything. And then it escalated into a bunch of just, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, exactly. I feel as if it could have been worse because I think there are players that might have reacted a little differently to someone getting in their face like that if you don't know who they are.
He might have known who he was.
Maybe he did. Maybe I don't.
But even if he didn't, like what are we doing, dude?
Yeah.
Again, this is another example. The same thing with Jeff Ulbricht's son, where the other person in the family has to deal with the actions of their stupid dad or their stupid kid. Like Tyrese Halliburton is sitting there like, Dad,
what are you doing?
Are you serious now? Now you can't go to any games. And then Jeff Ulbricht is like, son, you're not gonna have to work at like, I don't know, freaking Wendy's or something. Like, good luck, because you're off the like family budget.
Giannis said that not only did he walk towards the Bucks star waving a towel, but he was swearing at him. Like, buddy, it's the first round. This wasn't the championship game. This was, and by the way, even if it was, what happened to like humbleness? If you win the title, the first thing you're doing is going in the other star's face and swearing at him.
Of course you are. You're fighting.
Doesn't make any sense. What do you have, Marshall?
He was waving a towel with his son's picture on it right at Giannis.
Oh, his son's picture was on the towel.
Oh,
that's a nice towel.
That is a nice towel. So maybe maybe he knew. Like,
they're
probably related.
Oh, right. A Halliburton towel. Yeah, I was thinking a Giannis towel. No. Yeah, the Halliburton towel. I didn't even know they sold those.
Quick question for you. This is totally random. Are you Mr. Lacrosse now?
No.
Okay.
This is just randomly on.
Okay.
Because I was scrolling through YouTube TV and I think it was in my home Big Ten network.
Why?
So like Big Ten. YouTube TV goes to what you watch.
Why I'm asking John this is because we got these new monitors that we can hook up to our computers now in front of us.
Yeah, I'm watching college lacrosse.
John put on like
I just put YouTube TV.
Ohio State Rutgers lacrosse game, and I'm like, wait a second.
Well, first of all, no, I didn't, because I put on Big Ten Network because it was in like my home box because I had previously been watching it. But no is the answer.
Okay,
it just happens to be on. I would change it, but at what time? There's nothing on. But I'm not watching college lacrosse.
And I am,
to be clear,
I am Mr. like squirrel. I'm awful.
You are. So maybe I can't have this.
If it's on in front of me,
you're gonna watch it.
I'm gonna be distracted.
Do you like the way Rutgers has played this afternoon?
Actually, no, I don't, because they are down 9-5 with 13-13 left in the fourth quarter. Have you ever watched a
lacrosse game in your life?
A full lacrosse game?
Just lacrosse.
I've gone to a couple Seals games.
Outdoor?
Indoor.
I know, but have you ever watched an outdoor game?
Not once.
Yeah, it's different.
I know Jones is playing some lacrosse nowadays.
Yeah,
he's
starting.
He's like Rutgers. Mr. Lacrosse.
He's starting for this Rutgers team.
Rutgers is a good lacrosse team, right?
Are they? I don't know. It just happens to be on. I don't know anything about this.
Is Jones going to turn into Mr. Lacrosse?
I don't think so.
Is he going to get full-time scholarship
He's-
from
no.
Ohio State?
If he's going to get a full-time scholarship from Ohio State, it's going to be in Legos or Matchbox
Legos
cars.
or cars, yeah.
All right, on the other side, Kevin AC on Xander Bogaerts. He has spoken with the Padres shortstop about his struggles. We'll weigh in on that conversation on the other side. Hour 3 of John and Jim comes your way next.
All right, this update is brought to you by eBay. We'll start with the Padres. They have an off day today. They start a 9-game roadie tomorrow in Pittsburgh. Dylan Cease will be on the mound for the Padres. NBA playoff action happening tonight. First up, Knicks and Pistons. Game 6 in Detroit, 4:30 tip time. Pistons looking to force a game 7. Knicks are looking to eliminate the Pistons and move on to the second round. Clippers and Nuggets tip off at 7 p.m. in LA. Clippers looking to do the same thing, looking to force a Game 7. Nuggets looking to move on to the second round as well. Swapping out your tires, there's nothing like it with eBay. You find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at prices you'll love. eBay, things people love.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's John and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 3 of John and Jim. We are here until 6 p.m. We will connect with Kevin Acee tomorrow from Pittsburgh in front of Game 1 of that 3-game series. Again, Paul Skeens pitched today, so the Padres will avoid Skeens. Pirates losing to the Cubs today. I think the fall to something like 12-18 or 12-19 overall. So Padres and Pirates tomorrow, and Kevin will join us on the show. Now, Kevin, today on an off day, Jim, like if you had an off day, you're not going to write 2,000 words.
I'm not reading 2,000 words.
Correct.
Let alone writing 2,000 words.
But Kevin on an off day, maybe it's not an off day for him, it's just an off day for the Padres.
Yeah.
He wrote a lengthy article after speaking with Xander Bogaerts about Bogaerts working on getting back to his old self. That's the premise of the article. Can Xander get back to being Xander? You and I have argued that's going to be hard to do, right? The Boston Xander, has that ship sailed? I mean, for 2.5 years, it's kind of sailed. There's some kind of interesting quotes in this piece from Kevin attributed to Xander Bogaerts. So what do you make of this piece about Xander trying to get back to the old me, is what he told Kevin Acee, I guess, within the last day or so?
So first off, a lot of comps with Xander recently and last year too is like, oh, this guy's worse than Eric Hosmer.
Okay, a lot of the comps,
as far as like people's frustration goes with Xander,
I think
a lot of it has to do with like, this guy has a worse contract now than
you're right,
than Eric Hosmer.
Yeah, I agree.
Let me remind you, the thing about Eric Hosmer that really frustrated me the most, I think frustrated fans the most, was he just had this like stubbornness to try and change. He, in his mind, I got this $148 million contract by what I was doing. So why should I change?
144.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I
you gave him another $4 million
too much
just
money.
because.
144. All right. And his mind is like, why should I change? Because what I was doing got me to this point. So I'm just going to continue to do what I'm doing, even though it wasn't working. And he couldn't lift the ball off the ground if his life depended on it. He would just, his launch angles were
like negative.
Awful. Double play merchant. Could not get a base hit to left field if his life depended on it. He was so pull happy, and he just never, ever wanted to change any part about his swing to try and get better. What I do appreciate about Xander after reading this piece from Kevin is that he is doing everything he possibly can to change and get better and not rest on his laurels and not rest on the fact that he was an all-star in Boston that got him a $280 million contract. So why should I change? This guy, as Kevin says here, tinkers a lot.
Yeah, but it's interesting you say that because there's two sides to a spectrum.
I was going to go down that route. Yeah.
It's like the guy that is so stubborn that you will fail just to be stubborn.
Like, I'm not changing.
I'm not going to change. That's fine, right? And then there's the other side, which is like, can you be a brilliant shooter if you change your shooting stroke every year?
The overthinker.
Now, Xander, he did it consistently in Boston. The numbers do speak for themselves, and there's like 5 consecutive years that were ultra productive for a middle infielder. And ever since he's gotten to San Diego, now he has dealt with injuries. And he actually attributes his injury, the injury he had last year, the shoulder, the broken shoulder, right? The fractured shoulder. He says without the fractured shoulder, his year would have been worse last year. He would have had a worse year. He says he would have hit 230 last season if he didn't fracture his shoulder. Now, here's the issue, I would say. He didn't really have a good year after the fractured shoulder. Did he? I mean, I have to see the numbers, but
Kevin has them here.
Okay, they didn't jump off the page. And he didn't have power after the shoulder injury, did he?
He did not. It's not like he hit like a bunch of home runs, but he did when he came back. He was on fire. He just was hitting all singles.
He was on fire from when he came back till the year ended. Okay, let me hear it.
Well, I lost it here. Keep talking. Let me find it.
Okay, because and I remember the first 10 or 15 games when he was singling in every game. I do remember that, and you kept calling him out. Like, I mean, he's been hitting, but he hasn't hit for power. I don't recall this unbelievable second half from Xander last year when the team played awesome baseball. Maybe I was wrong. Was that lost in the shuffle? Did he hit 350 during that 60-game run when they closed? Would they close 43-19 last year?
Well, Kevin, I can't find it, but it was because a lot of this is 2023 stuff, right? But Kevin did mention in here that Xander said if it wasn't for the injury,
he would hit 230.
He would hit 230, and also he was trying to hit the ball to right field and he couldn't do it to save his life.
Was this last year? He was saying that?
Yes.
Couldn't hit the ball to right field. Okay.
Yeah. He's like, I was trying to hit the ball over to right field, and I couldn't to save my life. And I was like, this is expletive. So I get frustrated because I can't do what I normally am because I was practicing and doing stuff for something different. During his time on the IL, he abandoned the new approach. People might not want to hear this, but the shoulder was actually the best thing that could have happened to me. I will say this: if I did not get hurt, I wouldn't have hit more than 230. My season was bad, but I still ended it good. Okay. Arguable. It would have been a disaster if I did not get hurt because it just wasn't going for me, and I was continuing to do it. Okay. Now
I'll give you the numbers.
Okay.
You want the numbers? Because I have it. So he returned July 12th.
Yep.
He was like red hot.
Yeah, he was red hot. He was great. Well, define great for somebody,
right.
But he was good. He was really good.
The numbers were in a moment.
He was really good.
Because I have his baseball reference page. So, okay, he returns, Jim, right? Mm-hmm. Padres go on this run in the second half of the year. Baseball reference. Work.
It's been doing that for me too recently.
Where you can't do the compiling.
Like I will click on the game logs, and then I'm waiting for it to load, and it just like won't load for me to tell me the numbers.
Come on, like you owe this to me. Here they are. All right, you know what? He's right. So he comes back in the 64 games he played from the return of the injury. Listen to this: the Padres go 43-21. 43-21. That's that second half. He hits 299.
Oh, here we go. The 770 OPS.
770 OPS. They go 43-21. He hits 299. He hits 7 home runs. He has a 770 OPS.
Kevin says that was the second highest average and 6th highest OPS among Padres players with at least 150 plate appearances in that span.
What highest? 6th highest OPS?
6th highest.
Okay, great. Yeah. The point is, okay, he played well. He did. He played well in the second half of the year coming back.
How many RBIs and home runs did he have?
It was 7 and 30.
Okay. So
you know what though? But like, because we do discount Xander a lot, and I think it's fair to start this year. The truth is, for a middle infielder to hit 299 with a 770 OPS for 64 games is productive. Like, that's a productive 64 game stretch.
You want to hear his numbers in 2023, those fake numbers that he had?
In September or overall?
So Bogart's in the final 71 games of 2023.
It's going to sound really good.
I know, because I like how Kevin just cherry picked 71 games. Now, it was after his cortisone shot.
Okay.
So it makes sense, I guess. 321 with an 847 OPS.
In the final half of the year, essentially, at 321 with an 847?
847. It's so...
but we're picking here. We're picking and choosing.
It's funny to me because you look at some of these numbers and you're like, that's good. That's good. But then why don't I remember anything that Xander Bogaerts did of significant impact over the last 2 years? Like, why can't I, off the top of my head, think of a moment or games or series or weeks where I'm like, man, I can't believe if they didn't have Xander, that would have been a problem. Right. I see the numbers. I get it. But there's differences between just putting those numbers up and being like impactful. And to me, I just am still scratching my head to think of that's something that jumps off the page to me that comes right to my mind is like, that was a Xander moment.
I mean, 2 days ago, Now again, that's recency bias.
It is.
I go to 2 days ago. He had 3 RBIs, including a home run. That's a good night. That's a good night in the major leagues against a good team like the Giants. But I'm with you. I mean, I read through this. I don't know what to think. Here's what I generally think when I read something like this that's trying to kind of explain away a player and some of his struggles. I'm going to trust my eyes with this, and what my eyes tell me is that Xander's not Xander. That's all I can do. And I have the numbers to support it, Jim, just like you do. His Boston numbers trump his San Diego numbers. They're not even close. And now Boston, he was like a arguably Hall of Fame caliber player, and clearly has not been that player in San Diego. So is it in there? Maybe it has been, to Kevin's point. 64 games in 2024, 299. 71 games in 2023, 320. Maybe it's in there. Go find it again, is what I would tell Xander Bogaerts. But I think it only gets harder, Jim, because he's not getting younger. And the injuries have absolutely hurt him. And when he says, I need to find the old me, it's getting harder and harder for me to believe that you can find the old Xander Bogaerts the further and further we get away from his time in Boston.
Hey, I respect the hell out of Xander for being as honest as he is here, saying,
Right.
my seasons were bad, or I was playing like, dog, and he takes accountability. That's something that you never heard from Eric Hosmer, ever.
You're right.
He just would shun the media and never wanted to talk to anybody and say, I'm not changing anything. Xander at least acknowledges that, but unfortunately, that's not gonna really cut it. It's not gonna make fans, be happy that you're still doing nothing because you've admitted that you are not doing well. You need to eventually turn this thing around and do what you're getting paid to do, which is produce on this team. Not to the level of $26 million a year, but putting together a full season is what people are looking for. What this article says is there's parts of the season where Xander's good, and then a lot of other parts of the season where he's really bad. And can he put together a full season that's impactful, that's meaningful, and it's not 71 meaningless games like it was in 2023?
Yeah, there's a quote in here, and he mentioned it to us yesterday on John and Jim about an in-game managerial move, where he said, this is a line from Kevin in the article. Recently, in discussing an in-game move involving Bogaerts, one person called him, quote unquote, one of the top 20 hitters in this league. And that's not accurate.
What league?
I mean, if you're referring to a major league or the National League or the American League, it doesn't qualify. The numbers don't support it. So that's just over. You can tell yourself that. I can tell myself something. That doesn't mean it's true. So he's not a top 20 hitter in the National League. End of sentence. And I mean, there are some numbers where he qualifies for where he's like a bottom 20 player in the National League.
Xander Bogaerts is not even a top 20 hitter in the National League West.
Right. I mean, some of the numbers this year is 7th best on the Padres, 8th best on the Padres. So again, it's not to pile on. I appreciate Kevin putting a piece like this together and Bogaerts speaking on it, to your point.
And look, I will say, last year's Xander, after the cortisone shot or after the wrist injury or the collarbone injury, sorry, there's been a couple injuries.
Shoulder, collarbone, yeah.
After that, he came back. Yes, in 71 games, he did help the team, and he was he was a contributor to their success.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't the main reason. The main reasons were Manny and Manny and Jackson Merrill.
Yeah.
I'd say Merrill.
Yeah.
Manny and Jackson Merrill. Those are the two biggest reasons why. And everything they did just jumped off the page. Xander, though, was solid. I'll give him that. He absolutely was solid. But, look at his postseason numbers, too. They were awful. So it is what it is. He did help the team win last year in 71 games when he returned. He was really good at the plate. You're still looking for more. And then his postseason was awful. And then this year, it's kind of just he's had one good game. But to think, Xander's a top 20 hitter in the sport, no, not even close.
I'm with you, man. I respect him speaking, and he takes accountability,
Yeah.
and he's not blaming fans for getting booed, and he says it happened in Boston as a 21-year-old. But to me, there's a difference between me respecting someone as a person off the field and seeing the results on the field. This is an on-field business. I would have put up with Hosmer's, brashness if he produced.
It does
right?
make it absolutely, yeah. This does make me really want to see Xander succeed, really bad, because this has to be a nightmare for him at times. He knows what. Just pull the pot down. Pull all the pots down. There
we go.
All
good.
Yeah. So,
by the way, Marshall, who's running our board for the first time ever today for Brent, I give a 10 out of 10 for running a board for a first time ever. Now you might have to go in there now that spot is fired off.
Yeah. Oh my God.
All right, we're going to continue this conversation on the other side. It's John and Jim. All right, hey guys, it is John and Jim again for the all-new Hamul Casino and Resort, the Players Place. You got to get there for their endless dining. It's going on 5 nights a week. The endless dining options are better, even better than they previously were over at Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. They're going over the top: crab, shrimp, dynamite salmon, and more. Plus, don't miss their carving station for those who like a little turf with their surf.
Yeah, you can join them every Thursday for drawings for a guaranteed $30,000 in cash prizes. You can earn entries daily for your chance to win. Plus, stay for excitement of Latin night afterwards. Also, join them every Thursday for Sunset Trivia and compete for prizes at your favorite casino. Plus, enjoy 50% off classic sushi, nigiri, hand rolls, and any of their featured ramen bowls Tuesday through Thursday, now through May 23rd. Exclusions do apply.
Remember to catch all the action at Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. Experience the ultimate sports showdown. You can catch the Padres, NBA postseason, and more. Plus, savory bites at Tony Gwynn Sports Pub, where fandom meets fantastic. It's the all-new Hamul Casino and Resort, the Players Place. All right, back with you. John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, here until 6 p.m. We were discussing Xander Bogaerts' struggles, this article that Kevin Acee just published in the UT. You were making a very astute point. Then we went to break.
I was?
I don't remember what it was. I'd have to listen back, but
Me making a astute point?
it was astute. I felt as
It
if
was astute-ish.
it was astute-ish.
It was astute-ish.
Whatever that means.
I don't know.
It was a very astute point.
Thanks.
What do you got, Marshall? Are we doing the wrap?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But thank you for asking. We will get to that hopefully at some point later this hour. Listen, end of the day, Bogaerts hits the home run. You're like, oh, turning point, right? He hits the home run, a big moment,
Right.
2 hits, 3 RBIs, turning point. 0 for 4 yesterday. Let's just see him produce. Just hit. And it is true. Like some of the criticism, I'll admit, some of the criticism, maybe it's not fully warranted. He had, from a statistical perspective, 2023 wasn't some abject failure. 2024 wasn't some abject failure, specifically the second half, like you said, 43-21, final 64 games of the year. He's just got to be better. Simple as that, especially here in 2025.
But it is obviously Kevin devoted his off day to writing a 2,000-word article on Xander. I mean,
everyone's talking about it.
Well, everybody is going to continue to talk about it until he starts producing. And, if he puts up the numbers he did in the final, 60-something games last year or whatever it was after his injury.
That was the 64 games.
Yeah.
Yep.
If he does that, 299 with a, 770 OPS, we won't be sitting here talking about Xander as much as far as like on the negative side. Like we will be praising Xander. And hopefully, and I would be curious to see his numbers with like runners in scoring position during that time as well.
Well, they're not great because we've seen his overall numbers in that scoring position haven't been great.
Because that's the thing where those numbers, to me, they matter a lot. And the fact that he was hitting in the middle of that lineup last year for a lot of the season when he was on the field, and he just wasn't driving in any runs. I mean, he ended the year with 40-something RBIs?
Yeah, maybe.
First year he ended the year with like 50-something RBIs.
Right.
So, like you said, you can cherry pick some numbers to make it look better than it really is. Like, 299 with a 770 OPS. Like, it's great. What was he hitting with runners in scoring position? And if it was good, then that's awesome. But he also only had 30 RBIs or 30-something RBIs in the last 64 games of the season while hitting 5th in that lineup every single day almost.
Yeah, I mean, just let the full numbers tell the story. And the full numbers would tell you that this thing already hasn't gone well, his contract, and it's only going to age worse. That's what the numbers would tell you, not me, not Jim. Like I can offer my opinion and tell you, hey, Xander isn't good. Here's why. Forget that for a second. And fans can say he's not good. Here's why. Like, look at Zip's projections, like what Fangraphs would tell you about this player. They're only going down from here. They don't have him bouncing back in 2026 to play better than 2025. The numbers only go down for Xander. This is a contract that everyone knew wouldn't age well. Like everyone knows about all contracts for players that get to the age of 40. But to be already a bad contract in years 1, 2, and 3 makes it even that much more troubling. Again, if the player wasn't earning like this, he wouldn't be under the microscope like he is. But he's earning. And he is under the microscope, and he won 2 World Series in Boston, and his numbers in Boston were better than San Diego. So, again, it's not personal, it's professional, and the contract hasn't aged well and probably won't age well. And now I hope he just shuts us up because, like you said, I am rooting for him. I honestly am rooting for Xander Bogaerts. I think he helps them reach their ceiling. I really believe that. I think if we saw 2019 Xander from Boston, this team is one of the best teams in the sport.
This is interesting from Kevin's article.
Yeah.
Talking about Victor Rodriguez.
Right.
And their relationship. Quote, he gave me my first swing in pro ball, Bogaerts said of Victor Rodriguez, who was the minor league hitting coordinator for the Red Sox from 2007 through 2012. Quote, people have not seen the real Xander, Victor Rodriguez said. They have not seen what I have seen. What I know is in there. Bogarts is a big field guy at the plate. His hands and body and the direction he is going forward, but not too far or too fast, are what it is all about for him. Bogarts said a couple days ago, if I was doing what I was doing in the past, which means like the beginning of last year and parts of last year, there would have been no chance I would have gotten that home run. Okay. So
here's what I would say. I mean, again, we're trying to make something sound better than it is. For example, Victor Rodriguez saying, you haven't seen what I saw from Xander coming up as a minor leaguer in the Red Sox organization. That's a lifetime ago, Victor. You know, that is truly a lifetime ago. I don't know if we'll ever see that Xander again. This isn't 2010.
What I as I keep reading this article and seeing more and more quotes, what I take from this is what we said to start, is that this guy, Xander Bogaerts, I think he's just too much in his head.
He's a tinkerer.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like there's always something, and I have noticed that since he's been here. There's always something going on.
Like, I know it's easier said than done. And I tell Erin this a lot because she thinks
she's a hitting coach.
She's not a hitting coach, but she thinks a lot. She is a little at times an overthinker. And I try to tell her, like, I know it's difficult, but try to just shut off your brain. And
that comes easy to you.
Very easy for me. I am very good at shutting off my brain. But sometimes it's just like see and react. Like, don't think about, all right, I got to have my back foot here, got to keep my shoulders here, got to keep my bat head here. Like, just see ball, hit ball, right? Like, just shut your brain off, see ball, hit ball. There's a reason why you got $280 million. You're an all-star player. You're a really, really good player when on. Shut your brain off, see ball, hit ball. Stop trying to tinker so much. But again,
hey, Victor,
easier said than done.
Enjoy unemployment.
Yeah.
Jim's got
You're
it.
done.
Bye, Victor.
I'm the new hitting coach.
All right, let's get to the wrap on the other side, plus much more on Xander. We're here until 6, John and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by eBay. We'll start with the Padres. They have an off day today. They'll take on the Pittsburgh Pirates tomorrow night in Pittsburgh. Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres. NBA action tonight. Game in Detroit. Pistons and Knicks tips off moments from now. Pistons looking to force a Game 7. Knicks are looking to close out the Pistons. Same thing with the Clippers. They're looking to force a Game 7 against the Nuggets tonight, 7 p.m. tip time in LA. Nuggets looking to eliminate the Clippers and move on to the second round. Swapping out your tires, there's nothing like it. With eBay, you find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at prices you'll love. eBay, things people love.
All right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760 here until 6 p.m. Back tomorrow. Kevin Acee will be on the show. We're getting you ready for Padres and Pirates game 1 of a 3-game series, game 1 of a 9-game road trip. That'll get underway tomorrow at 3:40. All right, so Brent is, by the way, I've never gotten to the bottom of this. Where is Brent?
He's not here, John.
Well, no, I understand. Marshall knows more. Where is Brent?
Watching the movie Thunderbolts.
He's watching a movie.
Well, okay, that's fine. But that'd be like if I said, if Jim was off and I was like, hey, what is Jim doing? And it's like, I'm watching TV. Like, well, he was told to not be here.
Yes. Brent hasn't taken a day off in like 7 years.
Correct.
So
So then why is he off?
I know. But there are, I guess, not rules, but you have to take some time off because that stuff does not roll over.
Law?
That thing, yeah.
Like you can't work every day for 7 straight years in the state of California?
That's it right there, yes.
Okay. So he's watching Thunderdogs.
Close.
Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
Thunderbolts. Have you seen it?
No, because it just came out today.
Oh, wow. So he's doing the matinee.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are you going to see it? And what's it about?
It's a Marvel movie.
Is this like a LT movie or something?
No, I'm not even going to talk to you about that. But Aaron's actually out of town this weekend.
You're so excited. I saw the way you said that. Like, Aaron's not here. Yeah, I'm so sad. So Aaron's not here this weekend. So you're going to go watch
Thunderbolts.
Dude, I don't know.
What'd you call it?
Where's Aaron?
She is. Speaking of the devil.
Oh, that's great. She's like, just kidding. I'm staying.
No, it was Brent. I'm taking off Fantastic. Taking off for Fantastic Four too. Must be nice.
Tomorrow?
Yeah. No. Later in the year.
What do you got, Marshall?
So, Transformers, there was GoBots. Avengers has Thunderbolts.
How does everyone know this but me?
He does not know what GoBots is.
I've never heard of him.
You're talking to a man that has no idea like who
I haven't seen Titanic.
Yeah, he doesn't watch movies.
But I know what happens. Spoiler alert.
They all die.
It sings.
They all die.
All right, so Brent's watching a movie. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
everything
totally
makes perfect sense now. He's watching a movie. All right, let's try this with Marshall on day one, you're running the ship. This is day one.
You're the captain.
The unsinkable ship. Let's get to it.
Unsinkable.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Do you have the question?
You have the questions, Marshall. It's okay if you don't.
First question: Will the Clippers force a Game 7?
All right. Will the Clippers force a Game 7? I am going to say yes, because it to me, this series needs to go 7.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Like
it's been a good series.
This series deserves a Game 7. I don't think the Nuggets are going to win tonight at the Intuit Dome.
Right.
In LA. I hope it's a good game tonight. It's been a fantastic series. Other than last game, it was kind of a little bit of a clunker. Jamal Murray had like 43 points. But all in all, this series deserves Game 7. I think we're getting 2 Game 7s here forced tonight.
You say Pistons at home.
Yeah, I think the Pistons are going to beat the Knicks at home, and I think the Clippers are going to beat the Nuggets at home, forcing 2 Game 7s in the first round.
The Clippers tonight are a big favorite. 6.5 points in Inglewood, trying to force that 7th game back in Denver in the opening round. I'm with you. I think the Clippers win. I think they do so handedly tonight, force that Game 7. Next question.
Will LeBron James ever win another NBA title?
No shot. No, he is in his mogul stage of his career with the Lakers, and it wasn't about winning titles. It was about being in Hollywood and making a legacy of being with the Lakers. Yes, he won that Mickey Mouse title and he got AD there, but the idea when they got AD was not to just win one kind of like,
Right.
not fake title, but a title that's never going to be really remembered. It was to win multiple titles in LA. And then you got Luka, and then it ended in flames this year with the first round exit with the gentleman's sweep by the Timberwolves.
I mean, I think the better question might be, will he win another playoff series? I mean, next year's year 23. I guess you would say probably yes with Luka. I don't think he'll appear in another NBA Finals, for example. But no, the title days are over. I think we all agree for LeBron James. Next question.
How much blame should JJ Redick get for the Lakers' first round loss?
He's going to get a lot because there's not going to be a lot on LeBron's shoulders here because it's LeBron. And every time LeBron's teams don't win an NBA title, guess who gets all the blame?
Yeah.
It's the coaches.
Right. I mean, all these coaches have been fired over the years.
Frank Vogel won that title with them in 2020. He's fired like 2 years later. Darvin Ham takes him to the Western Conference Finals. Fired 2 years later.
Like David Blatt has like the best winning percentage in NBA history.
David Blatt
was like 60 and 20.
Yeah. Now, granted, they lost to my GOAT, Steph Curry.
Right.
But still,
It's not on David Blatt.
It's not on David Blatt.
Who has a career winning percentage of 675.
It is interesting though. Like he got fired and never heard from ever again.
Blatt.
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny. His name actually came up recently.
How?
I'm not really sure, but it came maybe in something like this type of conversation about being the head coach of LeBron James. What was the question?
How much blame should JJ Redick get?
I think he actually gets a lot of the blame. I think he deservedly gets a lot of the blame. I think LeBron gets blame. I think Luka gets blame. And I think JJ Redick gets blame. This is the Lakers. Your favorite to win this series. The whole no substitution thing is like unprecedented. So he gets blame.
He does get blame. Playing the entire starting five for the entire half in Minnesota was not good. Like something that's never been done ever before.
It's usually a bad idea.
Now, if they won, if LeBron had more than 0 points in the fourth quarter, maybe they win.
Yeah, but he was on fumes these last two games.
Right. So it's like you go for it. And if it doesn't work, it's going to backfire on you in epic fashion. And it absolutely did. He just didn't play Jackson Hayes. He played Max Christie for the first time in like 4 months. He gets a good amount of blame.
Last question.
What will the Padres record be on their 9-game road trip?
It will be.
Watch Jim say something that doesn't add up to 9.
5-6. No. I'll go 5-4.
We'll go 5-4.
But that would mean they'd need to at least sweep somebody. Right? No.
What? No, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't.
5-4 is 2-1, 2-1, 1-2.
We should never do math.
We should never. You know what, dude? I'm feeling a little optimistic right now.
Oh, here we go. 6-3.
I'm gonna go 6-3.
Wow. So then that would have to. No, it wouldn't either.
I'm gonna go 2-1 against 3 teams.
It's so stupid.
The only thing that needs a sweep would be 7-2 or better.
7-2. Yeah.
I'll go 6-3. Yeah, that's optimistic. But here's my math on it. Hear me out. You can go 6-3 by going 2-1 against the Pirates. You could go 1-2 against the Yankees
and sweep the Rockies.
I think that's realistic.
You know what's going to happen too is like if the Padres lose a game to the Rockies, sky will be falling in this town.
Oh, you can't lose a game. No, you can. I mean, are you really going to go 12-0 or 13-0 against the Rockies? Give me a break.
I need to look at the Rockies
record,
like schedule here.
No, you don't.
Hold on. Yes, I do.
You're going to break it down?
No, I'm not breaking it down. I just need to know what they've. So they're 5-25. All right.
right. It's not great.
It's not been really good for them.
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at April here. There we go. Hold on. All right. So they actually beat the Braves yesterday, 2-1.
Wow.
Yeah. But before that, they had a 1, 2, 3, 4.
It was something
5,
like losing
6,
16 of
7,
17, maybe
8, 9, 10.
It was
11,
awful.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah. They lost
16 of 17.
16 of 17.
Yeah, they were struggling.
They were not doing well.
Struggling, and So that's my math on it. Now 6-3 is a great trip for any team, but when you include the Rockies in there, now can Coors Field be a house of horrors? Like, I'm not going to assume a sweep. Make no mistake. I'm not going into that series like, oh, they're definitely going to sweep them. No, because crazy things can happen. You could lose a series there.
That stadium is
bonkers.
Like you said, house of horrors for the Padres.
Yeah, so we'll see. All right, Marshall, good job with the wrap. Much more on this Padres Pirates series that will kick off tomorrow. We'll get into that and the pitching matchup tomorrow as well. Again, NBA postseason, a couple of game sixes tonight. Knicks Pistons is underway. Clippers Nuggets coming up in a couple of hours from Los Angeles. We'll talk about those coming up. We're here until 6 p.m. John and Jim. All right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760.
You're so enamored with
Okay,
Hold
let's
on.
talk about this.
Okay.
Let's talk about this. So we have new monitors in the studio. So if you've never been to our studio, which is everyone, because we've never had anyone here.
Everyone listening.
So what's cool about it in theory, Jim, is there are 6 televisions in the studio. Now there's a caveat.
2 work.
An asterisk. Only 2 of them are on, which makes 0 sense. So we have like MLB Network on right now, showing Phillies Nationals, and we have maybe an ESPN News Sports Center type show on right now.
Mm-hmm.
But they gave us these people, these like unbelievable people. They like just came into our lives, and they're like, "What do you need in the studio?" We're like, "What?" These tech people, they just showed up. I've never seen them in my life. They don't work here, but they just like flew in like these iHeart princes, like Santa of iHeart, right?
What do you need? What do you want?
What do you need? And they're like, "Oh, do you want additional monitors with your laptops? Do you want to be able to watch different things?" I'm like, "Yes." So now we have 2 monitors set up. And what I've done is taken YouTube TV and put it on this new monitor that's right in front of us. Now, where Jim has become like very concerned is for whatever reason I'm watching Big Ten lacrosse. I'm just trying to test it out. I'm not watching it. I just want to see what it's like to have YouTube TV on this monitor, which I love.
You're literally watching the Big Ten Network.
Yeah.
Which is talking about
Rutgers women's basketball
and who they're getting in the transfer portal.
Yeah. Does it make any sense? No, but I'm trying to do
You're a
this show.
sicko.
No. I'm not honestly watching it. I would tell you if I was.
I mean, you could do what
do you want
a
on?
lot of people would do.
What do you want on?
I want you to put on.
You want MLB Network?
No.
You want Pistons?
I want Piston Knicks.
What channel is it on? Because I think I was looking. I can't.
TNT, bro.
Okay. That's fair.
Anyway, nobody cares about your monitor.
I know.
Except for me, because that distracted me, because I see lacrosse in the corner of my eye, and I'm like,
no, but
what's happening right now?
But the point is, if you've like our studio is getting upgrades.
Oh, yes, it is.
So things are going well.
The average person listening to this right now is like, shut up. Talk sports.
Talk to me about sports.
I don't care about your stupid monitor or your new phone. Talk to me about sports.
Okay, well, here's what I would say, because tonight on a Padres off day, they're 3rd in the last 8 days. We do have these 2 NBA playoff games that if the home teams win, go 7. So the 2 home teams are favored tonight, including Detroit. They're a slim favorite, something like 1 or 2 points. And then again, the Clippers later tonight at Intuit, 6.5-point favorites against the Nuggets, trying to force 7th games. What are the other series still alive? Golden State coming home up 3-2. By the way, we should talk about that. What?
Okay.
We should talk about not the fact that they lost that game, you made a game of it, but the belief that the Rockets are going after Steph Curry's injured thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a narrative and story that's playing out.
Well, they are.
And also the way Steve Kerr treated the second half, which I am 100% a proponent of. He did the smart thing. Don't chase. It's like throwing money on a poker table when you know you're going to lose a hand. Okay, you got a veteran team. The last thing you need is more injuries or running guys into a wall when they have just 1 day off between games. I think they treated it the right way. I think they're going to be a favorite in Game 6, which they were, and they've got a very good chance to win this series. Are you worried about what they're doing here with Steph Curry and the thumb, and is that going to be impactful for him moving forward in the series?
I mean, we're already at Game 6, and he's been dealing with it for the first 5 games of the series. So
now, what did his night look like last night?
Wasn't good.
he didn't play a ton either.
No, and you're right. It was the white flag midway through the 3rd quarter.
I get it.
And actually, it was before midway, because there was about 5 minutes went by, and then he just went to their entire bench for the rest of the way, which is smart.
And they kind of made a game of it, truthfully, briefly.
It was a 13-point game with about 3 or 4 minutes left to play. You're like, interesting.
Yeah.
And it was a 30-point game at one point.
Yep.
And like, okay.
Yep. The
thing with the playoffs now, and if you look at the schedule, it is going to favor the younger teams. And there's really only one team, or no, there's only one old team remaining, or at least one team that has a bunch of age that is a factor, which is the Warriors.
Golden State.
Yeah. And because of that, you're going to see this. I think they're going to be much better on Friday night. I think they're going to not be down by 30 within the first 5 minutes of the game.
Right.
Because essentially they played a half a game the other night. And when you look at the schedule here, like I said, it favors the Timberwolves a lot in the second round is because of the scheduling.
Is it every other day?
Friday night, if the Warriors do not finish off the Rockets will have to play Sunday in Houston. If the Warriors were to win that game, game 1 is on Tuesday night in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And then guess what? Game 2 is
Thursday?
every other day.
So there's never a 2-day layoff.
There's never a 2-day layoff.
And I would argue game 1 there is kind of that scheduled loss a little bit. Because now you're playing, if it goes 7, now you win this big, massive road game to get to the next round. And now you got to travel, play off 1 day of rest.
Yeah,
that's kind of a scheduled loss.
Yeah. And I heard this take today, and I actually I think it was from Colin.
Okay.
And I like it. Why do you have 7-game series for every round of the postseason in the NBA? Why don't we have the first round be 5?
We used to.
I know.
Not that long ago.
And now, especially with the scheduling stuff, you got a really long first round with sometimes 3 days off in between games in the first round. And then you're going to the second round.
It's every
other day. And to Colin's point, don't you want these guys to be as rested as possible? Like you're essentially saying scheduled loss here for teams like the Warriors. Like Steph's, 37 years old, 36 years old. LeBron, is 40 something years. Like you gotta, I feel like, give these guys a little more time off here.
Do you think you'd have 98% of the time the same result of the series? The theory being a longer series benefits the higher seed, right? More chances to get back into a series. So you could go down, the higher seed could be down 3-2 in a best of 7 and win the series. You can't be down 3-2 in a best of 5. So just the idea that a longer series benefits the higher seed and home court, therefore why not go to a 7-game series? Would we get the same result if we play best of 5?
It's also this thing called money, John. So they made the first round longer and a 7-game series. They've also added teams to the postseason as well. So it's like,
so go best of 9.
No, don't go best of 9.
I don't have a problem with best of 7.
I did like but you're right. In the past, it used to be 5-7-7-7.
5-7-7-7.
Yeah, 5-7-7-7.
Well, to your point, shoot, baseball always plays 162. Doesn't even start with 7-game series.
No, they start with a 3-game series.
3-5-7-7.
Yeah, 3-5-7-7.
Where the NBA, which plays half the number of games, goes 7-7-7-7.
Now hockey does this too, but we're not talking about hockey right now. They go 7-7-7-7.
Yeah, and have for a long time.
Yeah.
So your answer now, I still think if it was a 5-game series, they'd probably ask them to turn around and play on 1-day rest to start series 2.
I think 5-game series would increase the urgency instead of having so many blowouts and so many white flag games like it has in the first round.
That's true.
But on the flip side, there have been some amazing games in the first round. But there have also been multiple 50-point blowouts.
Yeah.
Last night was a blowout, if not for their bench.
Yep.
Making it look better than it really was. There's a blowout in the Lakers series, game 2.
Yeah, the Lakers win,
but still
win.
Yeah, but still,
what about
it's not changing? So
what about NCAA tournament?
7-game series?
No, win or go home.
Oh, win or go home?
Yeah, like T-Wolves Lakers.
Oh my gosh,
win or go home.
That would just cause
Warriors Rockets. Win or go home.
Chaos. I would love it, but the whole thing of the postseason is
it is money.
Yeah, I do appreciate though the fact that majority of these games in the first round have been, as far as an effort level compared to the regular season, oh my gosh, it is night and day. Like some of these games, the effort, the defensive effort, is just off the charts.
Well, I would hope so.
I know. I'm just saying, like it is just, it's very refreshing to watch, especially if you're that person out there that bags on the NBA for their regular season being kind of meaningless at times. Their postseason games, man, they've been competitive. Like every single series, these refs are letting them play for the most part. And man, they are getting physical. And I like it.
Yeah, no, it's been decent television. I'm with you. There have been blowouts, but we might get some 7th games as well in the first round in the NBA playoffs. All right, we'll switch our attention back to the Padres on the other side. Again, they're getting healthier. We have the latest on their health on the other side. We're here until 6 p.m., hour 4 of John and Jim. That'll come your way next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Dairy Queen. Padres, they have an off day today. They start a 9-game road trip starting tomorrow night in Pittsburgh. Dylan Cease will be on the mound for the Padres. NBA playoff action underway right now in Detroit. Game 6. Knicks lead the Pistons 30-20 with 2:39 left in the first quarter. Their Pistons looking to force a Game 7. The Clippers Nuggets tonight. 7 p.m. tip time in LA, with the Clippers looking to do the same thing, forcing a Game 7 against the Nuggets. Get big summer flavor in every bite with the new DQ Summer Blizzard Treat menu, featuring new mixing bowl matchups, fan-voted s'mores, and more for a limited time. Right now at DQ, happy tastes good at participating locations.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's John and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is the final hour of John and Jim. And coming up in 30 minutes, if you missed our conversation with Rich Waltz, great play-by-play broadcaster, he's calling tomorrow's Padres-Pirates game on Apple TV+. You'll hear that conversation coming up at 5:30. We really haven't touched on the health of the Padres today. We know Arise came back 2 games ago. They're 2-0. We know Jackson Merrill per Kevin Acee could be back by Monday. Could be.
Oh, I can't freaking wait.
That's going to be awesome, especially the Yankees. A 3-game series in the Bronx against the Yankees with Jackson Merrill back in the fold. That's going to look cool.
Yeah, just the presence of Jackson in this lineup has been
missed.
Can we
do that? I mean, if he returns Monday, you've been without him for 23 consecutive games.
Oh, it's too long.
Too long.
It's too long.
Now, here's the thing. You might get someone back before Merrill. Brandon Lockridge could come off the IL as soon as tomorrow.
Okay.
Jay Cronenworth could come off the IL as soon as a week from tomorrow, per Kevin.
Yay.
In Colorado.
Yay.
That's a yay.
That's a yay.
Yeah, we'll take that.
What about Mason McCoy?
He's fine.
Who?
Heal up, Mason.
Yeah, go somewhere.
And then Yu Darvish, who's been throwing 35-pitch bullpens, per Kevin, could be back late May, early June. So maybe within the next month on Yu Darvish. There are periods of time, we talked about this yesterday, where they're going to play 13 consecutive days, have an off day, and then play either 10 or 13 consecutive days. So there's like a 23 and 24 or 26 and 27 day stretch coming up for the Padres. That's when you're going to want to have a Yu Darvish ready to go, you would think. And that at that point, you're pushing towards like the middle of your year if he comes back in June.
And realistically, if you were to say if you had to choose, when would you choose for this team to go through some injuries and be banged up? It's right now. Mm-hmm. With all the off days they've had. Yeah, it's been like, it's kind of insane how many off days this team has had. This also mean they'll play a lot of consecutive games here coming up
in June
and July. Yeah. And I should know what their entire schedule is. I've read it.
Don't you have it memorized? Just give us the next 132.
Hold on. Think I could do this?
No, I'll look. How far can you go? Put that phone away.
I'm not.
Okay. How far can you go? I feel like I need to go to Padres.com with like series. Like, give me their upcoming schedule.
All right. Okay. So, Pittsburgh for 3.
Yep. You don't have to tell me the number of games. Pittsburgh.
Yankees.
Then what? Yep.
Rockies.
Yep. Then what?
That's where I kind of.
That's all you can do? Everyone can do that, dude. You just mentioned it earlier in the show.
I know I did. I'm thinking. Hold on. I got this. Is it not Toronto?
Oh my gosh. All right. Angels at home.
Oh, the Angels.
Mariners at home.
Yes, okay. And then Toronto.
On the road.
And then Miami.
No, Atlanta on the road.
And then Atlanta. And then Miami. And then Pittsburgh.
Yes. That's kind of correct.
Yes.
Now it's June.
Oh, June. It's a problem.
And now they're on the road.
San Francisco.
Correct.
Arizona.
Wrong. Milwaukee. And
LA.
Then finally hope for the Dodgers.
And then LA. Yes.
That's right.
So I got some of it right.
Terrible. But I guess our point being, here I'll make this point. The Giants just played 17 consecutive days. If that was Padres, add 3 more games lost to Jackson Merrill, because they've had 3-4 off days in there.
And add potentially 3 more losses as well.
Potentially, yeah, absolutely. So there's going to be a time, though, to your point, and to our
or 3 more wins. Who knows?
You never know. But there's going to be a time where they're going to play 13 straight. And then they're going to have an off day. And then they're going to play 13 straight. In fact, I'm looking right now.
Well, it's coming up very quickly here.
Yeah, it's June and July.
Yes, it's the end of it's the end of May.
Okay.
Into June. where
Yep.
you do play
I think it was probably
13 in a
straight.
row.
Yeah.
That's where the first 13 in a row stretch comes. Then you have that off day on June 12th. And then guess what? 13 in a row.
There it
again.
is.
So you're going to have 26 in 27 days.
That's where your depth of your rotation and staff and how. So you brought up a great point. Yeah, if you're going to deal with injuries, do it now.
Yeah, it sucks. I don't like it. And it's annoying as hell. But you would much rather have these injuries happen now with all of these off days that they've had rather than the 26 and 27 days.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So again, considering everything, when you say some of these names, like they didn't have a rise and they haven't had Merrill and they haven't had Cronenworth and they haven't had Yu Darvish. I mean, these are names. This isn't the Mason McCoys we're talking about, even though some of those guys have missed out too. Like they've been without some heavy hitters. And there's no need to excuse it. They're just 19-11. So whatever. They're 19-11. I think it's way too early to concern yourself with standings. I don't think it matters. I think what matters is how they're playing. And they're 19-11. So that's how they're playing. And we'll see what happens here beginning tomorrow night against the Pittsburgh Pirates. But considering the injuries, forget the injuries. I think people feel good about them being 19-11 overall.
We talked about letter grades, right?
I think we gave them yesterday both an A-, right?
I think so.
Did you
yeah.
put a poll out today?
I did.
What is the poll?
It's an off day poll.
What's the poll say?
Off day poll.
What's it say?
What letter grade would you give the Padres to the first month of the season?
No, but I mean, what have the people said?
Oh, it's I haven't looked in a while. Should probably look at
Yeah,
it.
isn't that important?
Yes, it would be important for
Yeah. What are the results? Like, are people giving them an A? Are they giving them a C? B?
right now 66% are giving them an A.
Yeah, I agree.
31% give them a B, and then 3% are trolls giving them a C.
Did you put D or F?
I didn't because
That's not fair.
That's not why would I put that there when they're 19-11?
It's a failure.
Yeah, I don't even know why I put C in there, honestly, because if anybody's giving them a C after the first month of the season, you're like literally just a hater.
Yeah, I mean, I think where you could get into it, and what we did yesterday was you don't have to say A+ if you don't want. We didn't. And you don't even have to say A if you don't want. We both said A- because maybe they left a little meat on the bone. Although, again, they weren't fully healthy. But yeah, maybe they left some meat on the bone. They lost 4 straight at one point. They got swept at home by Tampa. Like, I think, you'd like to do better than that against Tampa. But then again, they were 12-1 at home also at one point. So all things considered, A- is fair to me. Completely fair letter grade.
I am with you 100%. A- is where I'm going. If they didn't have that, 8 of 11 streak there, or they lost 8 of 11 and got, swept by the Tampa Bay Rays, then it would have been an A+. But
Yeah.
hey, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like this has been a fantastic start. They righted the ship there the final 2 games of the month against the Giants. They really played some good baseball the last 2 days. It's great to see after their awful stretch of games for the last week. But hey, you could also look at, they got Luis Ariz back and kind of put everything in its place, because when Luis Ariz is out, you're bumping up Gavin Sheets to the 2-hole. You're bumping up Xander Bogaerts to your cleanup hitter. It's like that. No, it's not it. Like, you moving everybody down a notch once Luis Ariz is in there, and it's going to look even better when Merrill gets back. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait.
I agree.
Because then you put Jackson Merrill as your cleanup hitter, or in your 3-hole, Manny as your cleanup hitter. And then you got Gavin Sheets as your number 5 hitter. And then Xander's back down to 6. And then when Jake comes back, guess what? I think Xander, unless he starts playing like he did like the other night consistently, you're looking at a 6-7 hitter right there.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And if not, then Gavin Sheets will be your 6 or 7 hitter.
And that's why, again, you can't assume health, and they might deal with injuries again, but they are going to look a lot different when they are healthy. By the way, if you're wondering, Jim, and you may be, their 19-11 start matches their second best start ever.
Okay.
So their best start was 21-9 in the World Series year of 1998. Do you remember in 2022, the Padres were 19-11? So that was what happened in 2022. They beat the Dodgers in the postseason. So they started 19-11 in 2022. They started 2010, the year they lost the final weekend to the Giants, 19-11 as well. So this has been one of their better starts, like a top 2 start.
Okay.
That's good.
I forget. I don't remember them in 2022 starting out this well.
Either
Oh,
do
you
I.
know what? I do.
I thought it was 2021 they started this.
I thought it was 2021 too. 2021, they started out red hot. They had the best record in baseball.
Remember their 9-0 homestand? They beat the Cardinals on Sunday Night Baseball.
Yep.
They were rolling.
I remember. I watched that
Yeah.
Phil's barbecue.
I watched it in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
Yep.
And 2022, I want to say that Eric Hosmer was still on the team, correct?
Yeah, because he got traded away in the Soto July trade period, right?
Yes. I want to say Manny and Hosmer started out red hot.
Hosmer was red hot. He had like 400 with all singles for like a month.
Yeah.
That's how I remember.
That was the first month of the season, and that's a big part of why they started 19.
And then they were really good. Now, remember the trade deadline, everyone went over the moon.
I know.
It wasn't perfect from there on out, and Soto wasn't perfect.
No.
But then they ended up beating the Dodgers in the postseason.
But that is a very, very good reminder. And whenever I'm about to lose it after they get swept in a series or they lose 4 of 5, or they lose 8 of 11, you just need to do this to me, John. You need to go,
I told you.
2021, 2022.
Yeah, but 2021, the wheels fell off.
I know.
So that's the thing. You're right. You don't really know.
Like it could go either way.
It could go either way.
So there's no point in being like, this is the end of the world.
We don't know it's going to be the end of the world or not the end of the world.
Because in 2022, they were fine. 2021, they were not. So it's like, it's a long season, is what that tells me right there.
It's and we know that, and we've covered this thing for so long, and it is hard. It's hard to outside of a couple of teams. There's a couple of teams that just you don't even have to cover them. If you've watched the Dodgers for the last 10 years, I mean, it's frustratingly annoying. By and large, I mean, what's their worst season in the last 10 regular seasons? It's not
last
bad.
year.
Yeah, it's 98
regular
wins.
season though.
Yeah, so there's a few teams like that, and then the other like 28. It gets weird sometimes.
Yeah.
Like Atlanta this year. If you're a Braves fan, you're pulling your hair out. Yet they could easily finish, Jim, 12, 14 games over 500 at the end of the year. There was a Houston team last year. We mentioned it. They were 12-24. They made the playoffs. There was a Nationals team that won the World Series that was 21-34.
Yep.
So it's just, you got to be careful because weird things do happen when you get to play 200 times.
That's why I tried, they lost 8 of 11, to not make it a big picture thing instead of just saying this stretch has been very frustrating.
Right.
Like, this is not the end of their season, but this stretch that they were in, man, that's frustrating. You wish that, some of their big bats could have stepped up in the absence of the guys that were out. They didn't. And so hopefully now they can right the ship here a little bit in the next couple games, which they absolutely did.
They did for those.
And they got Luis Ariz back, kind of settled everything down. And now you feel much calmer going into this 9-game roadie.
Yeah.
After the 2-game sweep of the Giants.
And I agree with that. I do feel a lot calmer, and there'll be rocky seas at some point ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure in the 132 ahead, there'll be a similar stretch to what we saw in there. But I look up and I see Jackson Merrill on his way back to the big leagues, hopefully. And that's really encouraging to me. Plus, I see a pretty manageable road trip, and I hope I'm right with Pittsburgh and Colorado in there for the Padres coming up again, beginning tomorrow at 3:40. And if you missed our conversation with the Apple TV Plus play-by-play guy, Rich Waltz, we'll have that for coming up at 5:30. Much more on the Padres on the other side, plus the NBA postseason, plus Rich Waltz, Apple TV. He's on the call tomorrow for Padres and Pirates. This is John and Jim. All right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. If you missed our conversation with Rich Waltz, he's calling Padres Pirates tomorrow night on Apple TV Plus. We'll share that with you coming up at 5:30. JJ Redick, interesting comments about his team following their first round exit to the T-Wolves. Didn't call out any specific player, Jim, but did say they weren't in quote unquote championship shape.
He said some players were in phenomenal shape. Some players were not in good shape, and that the team needs to get in championship shape.
So where does your mind go when you hear that?
Luka
I don't know, a
Doncic.
guy that's been criticized for not being in shape for the last 3 years.
Yeah, number 77, he's fat.
I mean, listen, Luka's brilliant. He's an amazing offensive player. He's incredible. Right? He's one of the best scorers in the world. There is no. He's one of the best players in the world. Do I wonder how he'll age? Yeah, I do. I honestly do wonder that.
But in the thing with Luka, and we talked about this, like if I'm like the NFL draft, if Shedeur Sanders was viewed in the eyes as far as his tape goes as a top like quarterback in the class, they were going to deal with the drama of Dion because Shedeur is a really good player. There's other players in the NFL draft that like had felonies for like
all kinds of things,
like misdemeanors or domestic abuse charges.
You're saying because of the talent, they can. I don't know if look the other way. They can deal with the baggage.
Well, a lot of teams look the other way.
Yeah,
same thing with Luka. Luka is a walking 30, 12, and 8 player.
No doubt.
He is phenomenal on the offensive end of the ball. Because of that, you're going to look the other way a lot. And because he is an international star, because he is going to be, top 5 in jersey sales every single year, he's a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You're going to look the other way in a lot of different things with Luka. The Mavericks decided we're not looking the other way anymore. And it's kind of burned them. In fact, in the sense that their fan base, they didn't care. Yeah. Because guess what? They just got to an NBA Finals. In their mind, it's like you just need to figure out ways to build better around Luka.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is here is you're going to look the other way if you're the Lakers. You're not going to trade him.
No, of course not.
You're going to hope that he signs the super max with you, or at least the max with you, because he can't sign the super max because he got traded.
Yep.
And you're going to have to build a pretty solid ass team around him. But the problem is you got 2 guys making $50 million next year, and it's really hard.
On one hand, of course, you have LeBron James. Okay, so a lot of that is a positive. I mean,
it's not 26-year-old LeBron James. It's like 46-year-old LeBron James.
And now you're talking about his 23rd year. If you actually think you can build something that, according to JJ Redick, hey, we got to get in championship shape, that's not going to be easy for a player in their 40s like LeBron James.
Well, LeBron's always in good shape, so I'm not going to dog LeBron.
I agree with that. But like when you're 100 games into your season, like he was, for example, the last couple of games, you're asking a lot of these players when you're asking LeBron James to play 43 minutes and 24 consecutive minutes in the second half. And he wasn't calling out LeBron, but I'm saying like, again, championship team, a championship team, that's going to be tough to come by for the Lakers next year. Is it not? Like you're going to have these max contract guys in Luka and LeBron, and you're going to build around them, and you're going to go from a first round exit to a championship caliber team next year. I'll believe it when I see it.
Look, something's off with the Lakers because once they got eliminated last night, things have now started to trickle out. They're like, that's a little weird. The comments by JJ Redick today, we got to get in better shape. Okay, who is that directed at?
Right.
Got to be Luka. Or at least he's a part of that. LeBron last night when asked about playing the 4, he goes, I'm not going to answer that question because last time AD answered that question, next day he's gone.
Away.
Okay.
Whoa.
What?
That wouldn't be the thing I'd say heading into the offseason after the trade. It's only been a few months.
Yeah. So, and then JJ Redick kind of, the way he managed the roster in the series, not playing anybody else besides the starting 5.
Maybe there was a reason.
There are some interesting things there that when you were, when the Luke trade happened, it was like, oh my God, the Lakers are going to win the NBA title. Everything's great. Yeah. Now, the things are starting to trickle out and more will start to come out now that the season's over for them. It's maybe not as great as people thought it was.
I was going to say, listen, I still get the criticism of the Mavericks, and Luka was a special player for their franchise.
I would have traded him.
Take that into account. Of course not. But maybe it's not as absurd, just the idea of it. Now, could they have gotten more back?
That's the part where you're like, what are you doing?
But the idea of at least moving him in real time seemed absurd. We'll see if it ultimately proves to be truly absurd or not moving forward. We'll hear from Rich Waltz on the other side. He's calling Padres Pirates tomorrow night on Apple TV Plus. That's next, John and Jim. All right. So are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, worried about your finances in these crazy times? Hey guys, it is Schaefer. And if you're like most people, you've racked up a sizable amount of your credit card debt and the monthly payment is not making a dent in it, it's time to call Loan Pronto. If you own a home, you have a super easy way to get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash. Loan Pronto has lots of options for helping you tap into the equity in your home and get the cash you need to get back on solid footing. Most homeowners who do this end up wiping out all their credit card debt and cutting their monthly expenses by $1,000. Look, you didn't mean to end up here, but you don't have to keep stressing about money. Call Loan Pronto for fast debt relief now. 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. That's 619-207-4336. Loanpronto.com. That's loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
All right, this update is brought to you by Dairy Queen. Padres have an off day today. They start a 9-game road trip tomorrow in Pittsburgh. Dylan Cease will start the road trip for the Padres against the Pirates. NBA playoff action tonight. Couple game sixes. Winner go home. Pistons and Knicks. Knicks lead the Pistons 55-51 with 2:40 left in the first half. Clippers and Nuggets game 6 in LA at the Intuit Dome. Tips off at 7 p.m. Clippers looking to force a game 7. Get big summer flavor in every bite with the new DQ Summer Blizzard Treat Menu featuring new mixing bowl mashup, fan favorite s'mores, and more for a limited time. Right now at DQ, happy tastes good at participating locations.
All right, Jim's back page is ahead. And if you missed it earlier, we had a great conversation with a really good play-by-play guy, Rich Waltz, CBS, Apple TV, calls Mountain West football and basketball. He's calling Padres and Pirates tomorrow night on Apple TV Plus. We started the conversation asking about how impressed he is with the Padres off to this 19-11 start.
Hey, it's great to be on, and thanks for the compliments. The Apple TV games are a lot of fun to work on for a broadcaster too. A lot of cool toys, cameras, tech. The MLB Network folks in the production truck. It's all good, and it's been fun to watch the Padres this week, just prepping for this game. They had a great start and then a stumble and a nice little 2-game sweep of the Giants. Look, the pitching staff is terrific. Pavetta's arrival has been outstanding. The bullpen's lights out. We had in our research, we get a lot of research from MLB Network for these games, and a really good breakdown on the bullpen and all that. And don't score a lot of runs. I think I just saw that right now after the game today, they're 21st in the major leagues in runs scored. But when your ERA is 2.86 as a team, you don't need to. But I think they'll start to score more runs as it goes on. Bogarts finally got his first home run the other day, and if he can start to swing it, that certainly will help it. Arise is back, right? Hopefully Jackson Mel and Cronenworth are back soon as well. So look, 19-11 is a good place to be. Rotation should get healthier. Hopefully if Darvish gets back soon. Bullpen's great. I think that's all good. And there's no transfer portal in the National League West.
Yeah.
Last time I looked.
Yeah. Thankfully there is no transfer portal. What makes the Apple TV broadcast, stand out among other broadcasts with all the, analytic numbers and everything that goes into what we're going to see, tomorrow night?
There's a lot of things that go into it. Apple is very much involved in this. They like to have a look. The graphics are very different. The graphics look a lot like your iPhone would. The cameras that they use are a little bit different, sharper, cool images. That Megalodon type camera that they have that's on the field. We get incredible access on the field with our cameras in terms of interviews, in terms of following guys out on the field, following guys around the bases on home runs and stuff like that. Don and Mud and that show, my buddy Jason Lewis is their terrific producer. The Padres have one of the great vibes in terms of their telecast, right? It's very unique. It's very San Diego. Those two guys have such great chemistry. And so that's a show that I really like. With Apple, it's a really different vibe. The technology is different. We have a lot of in-game sound from the field, sound from managers, sound from players. We actually, there's always a spot where we take, and we have terrific audio folks that are in the truck and around the ballpark. We take a batter or two, and all we do is just listen to the sounds around the ballpark. And it's, especially if you've got a surround sound system with your TV hookup, you hear the vendors, you hear the chatter in the batter's box. You get a really clear umpire, catcher, conversation type stuff. All of those things, I think Apple is really proud of. It's a team effort. It's Apple's sports division. Royce Dickerson is a terrific visionary, a guy that's leading that. And then you've got MLB Network, who for years has been the gold standard of production in terms of the showcase games, and they've kind of channeled a lot of that into these Apple Friday night shows. So it's a really good combination of those two. Baseball savvy. You can get as much information as you want, and you have some analytics, but as a play-by-play announcer, and I'm with Ryan Spilborgs, who's just such a fun guy to do games with. Trisha Whitaker's our sideline; she's really involved. I like storytelling. I like knowing about Tirso Ornelas. I like knowing about Tatis and his year that he's had. So analytics are big, but I'm more into the storytelling stuff. Tirso's story of 8 seasons in the minor leagues and all those plate appearances and now getting a shot and all of that. And I'm really interested to talk to Mike Schilt too in his second year. We get long meetings with managers for each game. he's a guy that I always liked in St. Louis. I thought he got a really raw deal there, and I thought the Padres were, smart to bring him on and smart to give him the job when Bob left for San Francisco. And he's that I really feel, and you guys would know this better than me because you're around the club, but just looking at these guys, talking to people I know in that organization, it feels like the clubhouse chemistry is so much better than it was in 2023. Am I right, or am I just dreaming that?
No,
up?
I think that's basically what the belief is. That Mike Schill points people and teams in the same direction. He really gets credit for that here. I mean, you look at his overall managerial arc between St. Louis and San Diego is incredible. I mean, the guy's done everything but really win at the highest level in the postseason. But what he's done in the regular season has been absolutely incredible. We're with Rich Waltz, Apple TV Plus. By the way, they do a terrific job with Major League Soccer as well, because we've been watching San Diego FC on Apple TV. Again, we'll have the call tomorrow, Friday Night Baseball, Padres and Pirates. Speaking of the Pirates, what is it like? Like, what are they selling? Obviously, they've got this NL Rookie of the Year in Paul Skeens. Haven't been in the postseason in forever, and those were wild card series. Seemingly from the outside, you would think that Paul Skeens eventually will end up somewhere else, because that's just how it works in some of these smaller markets that aren't San Diego. What's the belief in the organization in terms of how they get this thing right moving forward?
It's a great question, and I don't know that they know the answer to that. I think they're trying to. You look, when you're down, and the Padres have had spells like this, every team seemingly has gone through this. A lot of times you look around the landscape of baseball and say, okay, how are teams getting it done? I remember when the Astros were so bad, and then through, they really were the first to embrace the driveline pitching analytics, Brent Strawn, their pitching coach, and suddenly they built that juggernaut. They drafted well. They signed and developed well. A lot of people were like, we want to be like the Astros. Lower market teams oftentimes say, we want to be the Rays. We want to have such great analytics and be able to find those hidden gems. Or we want to be like Cleveland, and the way they've done it with their ability to develop pitching and such like that. This week I'm diving into the Pirates, and they have a decent farm system. And they have some more arms on the way. They don't have bats. They really have trouble scoring ones. I was at the game last night, and I was at the game today and watched Skeens throw. He gave up 3 homers, and they just can't score right now. So if I'm the Pirates, I would look at a team like the Tigers, right, who weren't great, had a tough time, getting their nose above water and staying there, similar markets and revenues and stuff like that. And they hired a really sharp general manager from San Francisco. And in about 3 years' time, their farm system is stocked with prospects. They've got a fun major league team. They were in the postseason last year. That, to me, would be a team that I would look at if I were them and say, that's who I want to be. That's what I got to do. So it's tough. I mean, it's got to start with ownership. The Padres, the beneficiaries of an ownership group that really had put money into it and really wanted to win and all of that. And I think that's helped certainly down there. And I think that's, probably what's lacking in Pittsburgh is, hey, can we get a plan that works, and can we put funds into it? It's not just, I talked to we had Cleveland last week. It's not just, let's go sign big free agents. Let's lock everybody up. Let's have a big payroll. I mean, the Rays, the Guardians almost got me there. Their secret sauce is they pay their minor league instructors well. They pay their scouts well. They draft, they develop, and that's their lifeblood. And I think that's where Pittsburgh has to get to, in my humble opinion.
You mentioned Fernando Tatis Jr. You're excited to, watch him tomorrow and the story of how he has played this year. I'm curious to get your opinion on where would you put Tatis over the entire landscape of baseball when he's fully healthy? Like, do you put him top 3, top 5? Like, where, in your opinion, when Tatis is playing like this, you would have him ranked in all of baseball?
Yeah, well, that's the mystery, not a mystery, but the thing about him is this, is the part you mentioned.
Yeah.
Healthy. Can he stay healthy? Last year, I believe it was a stress reaction in his leg. I think he played just over 100 games. And of course, in 22, he had the PED season. He's as good as anybody. I mean, really, I love the fact that he's in the leadoff spot. Teams are really, a lot of teams have started to shift a guy like a dynamic hitter into that leadoff spot. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see 150 games this year and see where those numbers end up. And I think too, and again, I'll defer to you guys because I'm curious about this too. Part of the clubhouse chemistry to me, maybe addition by subtraction, back in between 23 and 24 with a certain superstar, but I think Tatis has done a pretty good job of winning the clubhouse back in 23, maybe probably 24 as well. Because when you go through something like you did in 22, there's a lot of damage and stuff you have to repair. And it really feels like he's gone, he's been able to do that, which I don't think is easy, but I think that's helped too. Am I missing that?
No, I think you're spot on. He's just grown up, Rich, kind of in front of our eyes. I mean, he came up as a kid and he was very laughable and amicable, even with serious subjects when he was younger. And you don't really hear that as much from him. Like anyone, it's like when we were 20, we weren't under a microscope. When he was 20, he was under a microscope. And I just feel like Fernando Tatis Jr., he says the right things. Like he's very aware. He's matured a lot. I would also say nobody wants to go through a PED suspension. And I'm not saying he's better for it, but it does feel as if he's learned from everything that kind of played out.
It also helped him too, because he ended up getting surgery that offseason, which he would have never gotten if he never got suspended.
Yeah, the shoulder, right?
Yep, the shoulder and the wrist.
So he kind of got healthier. Yeah. But I think it's a good point, Rich.
Right. There's a good dose. That's good to hear. Because that's what it feels like from the outside. There's a good dose of humility that comes with that. And there's a lot of work to repair relationships and trust with your manager, trust with the teammates. And it feels like he's done that. And it's great. Look, I'm a big Luis Ariz fan too. So I'm really happy that he's back. It was fun the other night to watch. The telecast was essentially a tribute to Tony Gwynn, and it was really fun to hear Mud tell a lot of the stories. And Ariz, is in that conversation simply because of his skills and similarities in terms of approach as a hitter. So I'm really happy that Ariz is back. And it's, Tony Gwynn for me has always held a really special spot, because as a young broadcaster, I was with the Mariners for a good spell, and then the Marlins. As a young broadcaster with the Mariners, we'd come in, and they were back then interleague partners with the Padres. So I remember coming in as a young broadcaster, and the first time I went down it was then Jack Murphy, and go over to the Padre side, and there's Tony sitting on the bench by himself at 3:00 in the afternoon. No one's out. Tony's out. And it's like, hey, he'd say, hey, come on over. Let's talk. And we would talk about basketball most of the time. And the fact that he was such a great point guard. And I, at that time, was starting to do some Mountain West stuff. Coach Fisher had just arrived at San Diego State. And Tony was like, a lot of stories about playing BYU and stuff like that. So that was really fun. And then you ask him hitting questions. I was a college player, so I immediately have got questions about, hitting. And he was just so good to a nobody like me. And then in subsequent times when I saw him, I would watch him, and he was the same way with ushers, with security people, with other broadcasters, with other players. So that's one of the fun thing for me when I get to go to San Diego and do baseball or do a Padres game.
No doubt about it. Really well said, Rich. We enjoyed you hearing that insight and that perspective and those stories. We're looking forward to your call tomorrow night, Friday Night Baseball, Apple TV, 3:40 Pacific, Padres and Pirates. And then I'm sure we'll see you in San Diego soon for either a Padres game or an Aztecs football or basketball game. But we appreciate you hopping on, Rich, and have a good call tomorrow night. All right?
Guys, thank you. And I'll be watching the Padres. you start to study about a team, and then you're like, yeah, I kind of like this team, and
No doubt.
the Padres are one of those. I'm really interested to see how this season plays out for them, and it'll be fun to see them tomorrow.
No doubt about it. We appreciate it, Rich. Good call.
All right, thank you. See you guys.
All right, great stuff from Rich Waltz, Apple TV. We have Jim's back page for you. That's coming up next. Stay with us. Final time, John and Jim. Day one of Marshall on the board, filling in for Brent. Listen, Marshall, my first day on the board, I'm pretty sure something exploded. Like, it was a disaster.
Well,
I would be an absolute train wreck.
Marshall's already a million times better than you ever
That's
were.
my point.
Yeah, he's been here for a day.
You have done better than I could do after 5 years.
Yeah, it would be we'd be playing like Fox Sports Radio randomly, and then
It would be
we would
like
have fired off some
FCC
random macro,
alerts.
and yeah, it's been awful.
So I think it's been a good debut.
I've had some really bad days myself in the past on the board.
Well, you had that one day when Brent had to pick up his dog, Peanut, and you like it's cool. I'll just go back there and do the show from back there. You were awful.
Well, it's hard to do.
The phone was ringing.
Yeah, the phone was ringing. We're trying to do the show.
Right.
And I'm trying to do like 6 different things while also being on the radio. That was difficult.
It was tough.
But we did it all for the pandemic season when I was running the board back there for our wrap-up shows. Everything was fine. It was just one day for some reason. I don't know.
That was just a weird day. Everything was going wrong.
Everything was going. Well, the phones wouldn't work. I remember that.
The
phones wouldn't work. And so then I was trying to get the phones working, and it was just me and you.
Yeah. This has worked out pretty well. I mean, behind the scenes, this has worked out pretty well. So, Marshall, good job.
The worst, I've told you this before, I'll tell our listeners, the worst moment of my time ever running the board was during a Chargers game. And I was running the Chargers broadcast at the time. And in our logs are like the opens of the broadcasts with all of the
Chargers football is brought to you by.
Yeah, all the sponsors. And this time it's an NFL broadcast. There's like 15 sponsors, and it's the open of the show is worth a lot of money. I didn't play the open of the broadcast.
And you just told Josh Lewin, you're like, you're hot.
I'm
go.
like, just
start talking.
It was a disaster. Now, yes, it was my fault. But also, when I went to go get the open of the broadcast, it showed up as like deleted. So like I didn't know how to like undelete it at the time. It was your
fault.
I know it was my fault. But still, it was bad. It was very, very bad.
That's why Jim hates the Chargers.
I hate the Chargers for multiple reasons.
I'm kidding. All right, let's get to this.
I still don't understand that open, but
it makes no sense.
It is what it is.
Right.
Pepsi, John, is releasing new limited edition orange colored soda for the NHL postseason. Pepsi has unveiled an extremely limited edition orange colored cola to celebrate the Edmonton Oilers, say that 3 times fast, 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run.
What playoff run?
What do you mean?
Are they like in the Stanley Cup or something?
No, it's just like Stanley Cup playoffs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's turning heads across the city and the country. While the drink still features Pepsi classic flavor, the vibrant orange hue pays tribute to the team's iconic colors and electric energy for the playoff season.
Love that. Orange Pepsi.
Orange Pepsi. It would be very weird to drink a Pepsi that's an orange color, but still tastes like Pepsi.
So it doesn't taste like Fanta. It tastes like Pepsi.
That's what it says.
That's weird.
That's very weird.
Okay.
Yeah. Wendy's releases a new Cajun Crunch chicken sandwich and a new tangerine twist lemonade. Listen to this. Wendy's is making a bold move into the chicken sandwich wars with the debut of its all-new Cajun Crunch chicken sandwich. And it's already stirring up a buzz, John. The crispy creation features a seasoned chicken fillet topped with melty pepper jack cheese, crispy fried onions, crisp lettuce, and zesty Cajun mustard sauce. I would ask you if you would eat this, but I know you wouldn't because you're a vegan.
Correct.
And I don't even think you're listening to me.
No, I'm listening. It's about the Wendy's burger.
Yes, Wendy's has entered the chicken sandwich wars.
But they've been in that space before, though, right? Wendy's has had spicy chicken sandwiches for forever, right?
But this is a new twist on
This is a twist
on the spicy chicken sandwich, John.
Should we pick it up?
No.
Okay.
I would also ask you, what's your favorite chicken sandwich place? Like, is it Raising Cane's or
when I used to eat
Chick-fil-A,
chicken, I would have said
Popeyes.
When I used to eat chicken, I would have said Chick-fil-A. Here's why: I'm a pickle guy, so I like 2 pickles on the Chick-fil-A sandwich, and they butter the heck out of that.
They do butter the hell out of the thing. Yeah.
And now that doesn't necessarily scream John Schaefer in terms of the way I eat, but I would like a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich when I eat chicken.
Okay.
In fact, I'm like thinking about it right now.
Okay.
But I can't eat it because I don't eat meat.
No, you don't eat meat, and you get very sick if you
I would
do.
get sick. Even chicken, probably.
Well, didn't we have what was it a
I had
couple
a
years
bite
ago?
of In-N-Out.
Yeah. Well, why'd you have a bite of In-N-Out? I forget why.
I don't know.
It was a
'Cause I
bet?
said like Shohei Ohtani sucks, and then he was good.
No, we did a bet. You're like, I'll eat a burger if this happens.
Yeah, I think that happened.
And you didn't even
I had one bite, my stomach kind of hurt.
yeah. But the one bite was the greatest bite of like.
Oh, so good, dude.
So good.
So good.
You're like, this is the greatest
Why
thing
am I
ever.
a vegetarian?
I
It's
know.
so stupid. Do you know what I'm missing out on?
I know. That's why I tell you every day.
Oh my gosh, I haven't had a bite of. I haven't had anything in like 10 years, maybe more.
Man,
What am I missing out on?
you're missing out on a
What
lot.
am I having tonight? Like pasta,
Hey, what are you having tonight?
soup, something boring.
That's Kristen's fault then, right?
No, I mean it's my fault because I don't eat like sandwiches. I
You
don't
don't eat
burgers.
and you don't cook and you don't.
I mean, what is good if you can't eat any meat? I mean, there's some good food. I eat fish. There's sushi. I like sushi. I do. I like.
If I
There's
couldn't,
certain
if
things
I,
I
if
like.
I didn't eat meat, it'd be a problem.
What do you got, Marshall?
Beyond Burgers.
Yeah, I like Beyond Burgers. Thank you. I haven't had one in forever. Yeah, exactly. They're not that bad, dude.
I
Have you ever had one?
can't remember.
You have.
It just doesn't do it for me. Finally, John, the internationally renowned Museum of Illusions
Okay.
is set to open its first California location on May 23rd, 2025, in the heart of the Gaslamp Quarter,
Wow.
located at 665 Fifth Avenue. The 9,000 square foot venue will feature over 80 mind-bending exhibits designed to dazzle the senses and challenge perception. With a mix of optical illusions, 3D holograms, interactive rooms, never before seen installations inspired by San Diego's surf culture and coastal landscape. A spokesperson with the museum says it aims to blend entertainment with hands-on education for visitors of all ages.
I'll do that.
This does sound pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
The museum will operate Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Mhm.
and on weekends from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. with last admissions 1 hour before closing. This looks pretty cool. So it's like the illusion where you're in a room with upside down, but everything's on the ceiling. I don't know. It's kind of cool.
All right, we can hit that up. When's it open?
I just said May 23rd.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
And
no.
I didn't know if it was an illusion. If you actually said that.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Kevin Acey will join us before Padres and Pirates get underway from Pittsburgh, the Steel City, if you will. All right, if you missed anything today, sportsst.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Spotify. If you're listening to us on podcast, you can leave a review as well. We appreciate that. Marshall, well done. Enjoy the evening.
We didn't burn the place down. That's good.
Not yet. For Marshall and Jim, I'm John. Keep it here. This is San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.